itself up a bit, and fortunately, well, I say that, but then it just started updating here. Let's see what some of these potential hail sizes are. And I will say, as far as the radar is concerned here, it usually does a decent job with what it thinks it is and what it ultimately ends up being. So let's say in about 3/4 inch hail into the intersection of that'd be what, Lawrence, Craighead, and Poinsett counties. This is indicating the potential of 1 inch diameter size hail, which is about quarter size hail. So as these showers and storms do continue to kind of ebb and flow, and keep in mind, a lot of our severe weather that typically happens around here, I feel like it usually happens a little bit closer to sunset than necessarily right now. So these are still going to have quite a bit of heat to work off of per se, and also quite a bit of energy to work off of too, because the winds that are higher up in the sky, they are humming right now, and not really too high up within the sky. Into western Kentucky here, going back here just a couple of days ago, there was a lot of wind damage that did occur near Mayfield, Kentucky. And if you're familiar with Mayfield whatsoever, that's an area that saw some significant tornadic damage going back about 5 years ago. And they had some really nasty winds that came out of that here. So yet again, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place. Want to clear these off. We're going to turn around to what we have going on with the scope. And this lets us see how strong the winds are inside of here. And since we have 2 different storms really around right now, it kind of gives us a better idea to look inside and kind of track some of these storms out. The areas in red and green, what you don't want to see, or do want to see, I guess, depending on who you talk to, once they start becoming really bright reds or really bright greens, almost like a lime color, that's an indication of some pretty strong winds around. Fortunately, there's nothing right now that's really getting my attention, but there definitely are some stronger winds that are in place. Eastern portions of Craighead County. That was the first one I kind of saw right in this general area. See if we could pop up some information. That's only saying 33-mile-per-hour winds, which isn't too bad. Notice this area in green. You see kind of wrapped around the areas in red. That, when you see the reds and the greens intersect, a lot of people usually associate that with being a tornado, especially if it's got the hook to it. In my opinion, what that's looking like right now is a microburst. So a lot of those winds that are high in the sky, they're going to try to propel themselves downward, especially when we get some heavier rain around. So your first alert, if you are over towards Harrisburg, Arkansas, some pretty strong winds are going to be knocking on your door here rather soon. Central portions of Poinsett County as well. The winds don't look too terribly strong right now, but I think some of these storms are still trying to get their act together here as far as just the wide, as far as some of these into Poinsett County right now. I want to take a step back out, and yet again, northern Mississippi. It's the western portions of Tennessee. It's quiet right now, but we do have the severe thunderstorm watch that is in place here throughout the entire Mid-South until 10 o'clock this evening. So if you're northern Mississippi, I still think you probably have a good 2 hours or so at the least before things start to pick up as far as the activity is concerned. Kind of leaning after 5:30, 6 o'clock when northern Mississippi will start to get in on the action. If you're in Shelby County and really all along the Mississippi River, it's very dependent as to where you're at here when those showers and storms will move on through it. You want to, for the sake of it right now, let me put this back on a loop, because I have something I want to do. I just want to get re-clarification, or I guess kind of hammer home the point. These are moving down to the southeast here. These are definitely more kind of almost really paralleling 555, and if they were to continue all the way down to Highway 78 and I-22. And the reason why I'm doing this right now, I'm going to pause the radar. I want to turn around and put a track on this. And this is going to be a big track. There's going to be a lot of towns and cities on this. But I want to give everybody across the Mid-South a bit of a first alert. If these continue at the same general pace and speed that they're going at right now, who can expect what when? And yet again, these are moving to the southeast at about 40 miles per hour. Doesn't mean that they're going to consistently move at 40 miles per hour throughout the duration of this, but this at least gives you a first alert, some relative times when we could see this impact your general portion of the Mid-South. So Blytheville, this is saying 4 o'clock. The storms might be just to the south of you as far as necessarily directly impacting you, but still the general time frame about 4 to 4:15. In Memphis, about 4:41. With a lot of these times, I'd probably guess a little bit later than necessarily what these do depict, but I still think it gives us a good idea. Hernando by about 5:15. Same idea in Somerville, Tennessee. Over to Sardis, 6:04 is your time when you can expect potentially some heavy rain, some lightning, some stronger winds, and some small hail will be a possibility. Oxford, Mississippi, 6:21. Yet again, the strong winds probably the biggest potential issue out of this. Corinth, Mississippi at 6:34, and Tupelo by about 7 o'clock here. So these showers and storms, it's not going to be an all-night issue. It's really a next 6 hours issue over anything else here. And yet again, with these showers and storms, I might have these times. They might be a little bit later than this, but I still want to just give you a general first alert across the entire Mid-South who could be seeing the worst of this weather right now here on Saturday evening. So let's go back into see what we have going on here with some of these showers and storms. Want to dive back into them and zoom on in. We could put some more tracks on these more specifically here into some of these towns and cities that are getting hit by them right now. Fortunately, across the Mid-South and western Tennessee and into northern Mississippi, it's quiet right now. There's not really a whole heck of a lot going on. We go a little bit closer to Jonesboro. They had some pretty nasty storms that did move on through here. Looks like the worst of it was just to the south view, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some wind damage that did ultimately occur here a little bit closer to Jonesboro. But down to the south along 49, the rain's been coming down at a pretty quick rate, a pretty quick clip right now. Let's turn around and pan this a little bit further to the south here so we can see what we have going on with some of these heavier rain showers. And yet again, near Wiener, Fisher, Cherry Valley, and Harrisburg along Highway 1 right now. Some very heavy rain. Potentially some hail could be around too. Flip on over the hail, and yeah, this is some pretty big hail that's about to be hitting over into the Wiener area. Some of these deeper greens. Good indication of 1 1/4 to even 1.5 inch size diameter hail here. And for perspective, the size of a quarter is basically 1 inch in diameter. Once you start getting it to 1.3, 1.5, that's more in the range of $half to even golf ball size hail. So really between quarter to golf ball size hail looks to be falling into the far northwestern portion of Poinsett County right now. I want to turn around and look at the rain rates too, because the rain is coming down at a very heavy clip right now over into Wiener. And there could be some contamination within this as far as us dealing with some hail right now. But still, rain rates at about 3.8, probably in a range of about 4, roughly 4 inches per hour. Not that these are going to sit on top of us, I do not believe, for the span of an hour. But even if these sit on top for 20 minutes, that's a quick 1.5 inches of worth of rain that has the ability to fall here over a pretty short time, and that's when flash flooding can become an issue rather quickly here. So not a great situation right now into far northwestern portions of Poinsett County. Yet again, bigger picture right now, it does have some showers and storms into northeast Arkansas, but these are sliding down to the southeast here, and we actually did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning. So National Weather Service are going to try to stay ahead of this thing here when it does come to these warnings around the mid-south. I am kind of keeping an eye to see if they are going to issue any significant severe thunderstorm warnings per se, because the National Weather Service, when they issue these warnings, they can have 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1 inch hail, and really kind of any combination of that. But in order for a severe thunderstorm to occur, it has to have 58+ mile-per-hour winds or 1 inch diameter size hail or greater, with both of those things here. All right, let's dive back into this. So the new warning that just came out, it does include northern portions of Crittenden County, Mississippi County, the far southwestern corner, the rest of Poinsett County, and a little bit of Cross County as well. Let's see what the National Weather Service is issuing this for. I'm sure it's still probably for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1 inch of diameter size hail. This one is until 4:45 this evening here. So your first alert, if you know anybody that's about to be heading on 555, I was just talking about how if anybody was traveling north on 555, they're about to encounter some pretty nasty thunderstorms and severe storms. But if you know anybody that's going to be even approaching 555 here over the next 45 minutes to an hour, the showers and storms are about to become pretty significant right now. I want to turn around. Let's pan this back up a little bit, give you a first alert, get another track on this here. Yet again, these are moving to the southeast at about 40 miles per hour, give or take on that. We'll give this right here. That's a fair track. It's probably, I got to pan this back out the other way. Let's clear this off. Going to pan this a little bit higher up here so this way we get a better angle on it. That's a better spot. Track. And here we go. All right. So in my opinion, these are kind of moving something like this here. So over the next hour or so, and these are going to be much more of an accurate time that you do see on your screen now as far as the specific towns and cities compared to the bigger one. That bigger track that I had was more just a generalization that if you're outside of northeast Arkansas, you could see when this could be impacting you. So Big Lake, right about now, really in the next 5 minutes, you can anticipate some 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1 inch of diameter size hail, a lot of lightning, and also some heavier rain. Mark Tree, Arkansas at 406, Osceola at 423, Turl, Arkansas, yet again, 60-mile-per-hour winds, some heavy rain, some lightning, even some small hail will be a possibility. West Memphis at 450, Covington at 454, and Memphis at 505, at least into really midtown Memphis per se. About 5 o'clock is the time that you can anticipate this to hit your area. I do want to come over to the First Alert Precision Tracker, so this way we can kind of track some of those storms over there, because this gives us a good idea what we have going on with the meat and potatoes of some of these showers and storms. National Weather Service, let's see. National Weather Service did know that they do think that the area that is closer to the Big Lake area, over towards the Caraway area, so we're looking at this one here, does look to be weakening a little bit. The reason why I'm specifically noting this is that there is a festival going on over in Henning, Tennessee, and they're kind of keeping an eye out for this. If you know anybody that's over in Henning, Tennessee, give them a first alert, let them know what they have about to head towards them. Even if it's not necessarily a severe thunderstorm, you're probably going to be getting a storm here rather shortly. I'd say within the next half hour or so. What else is the National Weather Service saying? Greene County and Arkansas. And Greene County is the area that actually did just get this one storm that was pretty strong and pretty nasty just to the north of Craighead County and Jonesboro, that there are trees down over there. I got to get myself a drink here momentarily. But we do have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings in place currently for the Mid-South that are in place for the majority of Mississippi County, Poinsett County, Cross County, and Craighead County, and also the northern portion of Crittenden County as well. The First Alert Precision Tracker, not really worried about the tornadic activity with any of these, but there will be some stronger winds inside of them. Tops of these storms are above 40,000 feet, so there's a lot of vertical height to some of these storms right now. And usually that's a good indication that there's some hail embedded too. So if you know anybody that's traveling on 555 right now in northeast Arkansas, and I know I'm saying a lot of the same areas over and over again, the reason why I'm saying those is because those are the areas being impacted right now. Those are the most troublesome areas. Let's put another storm track on these. And what do we have this moving at right now? All right, so we're gonna get rid of this. We'll get this. We'll put another track on here, extend this out about 40-ish miles. A little too strong of a track, a little too big of a track. And we're starting to get some of these showers and storms even into far northern portions of Mississippi developing here, close to Blytheville. And those are going to be packing a little bit of a punch too, especially since they are developing. Sorry about this, folks. Get a little bit of dust inside of you, and all of a sudden things start going kapooey. Anyway, some of the timings on this. So Lepanto, these will be on top of you within the next couple of minutes by 4:03. Right now it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Gosnell at 4:06. Tyron's at 4:09. Blytheville at 4:11. Over to Kaiser at 4:15, and then Gilmore at 4:21. Memphis, I'm still thinking about 5 o'clock here. That's when you're going to see these hit the general northern portion of Shelby County at first, slide down to the southeast through Millington and over towards Raleigh and Fraser, and then eventually into Memphis. Let's see. National Weather Service is noting that there is tree damage going on in Greene County and also specifically in the Brooklyn area. So, as I alluded to, Craighead County is getting hit pretty hard, especially not too far away from Brooklyn and Jonesboro. These still continue to be warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 1-inch of diameter size hail. So at least when it comes to the warnings, they're not over-the-top warnings, meaning some 70-mile-per-hour winds, but instead kind of baseline severe thunderstorm warnings. And the reason why I say that's a good thing is because you don't want these to have significant winds on them. You don't want damage to obviously occur here when it comes to any sort of severe thunderstorm warnings. What do we have here as far as any of this is concerned? Let me clear this off. Let's see what we have going on with some of these storm tracks. So the BTI numbers on this, and I know a lot of people really like to know exactly what we have going on with the BTI. That is known as the Barron Tornado Index when it comes to the First Alert Precision Tracker. This is registering numbers at about a 2.6, and they've been generally waffling between about a 2.5 and a 3.0. So it's not the most impressive numbers we've ever seen here across the Mid-South, of course, but they're still relatively, they're not insignificant numbers. That's the best way to say it, but there's not really enough spin in the sky per se to allow these showers and storms to happen. This is more kind of a straight line wind threat than necessarily an actual tornadic threat. What do we have going on with some of these other ones? A lot of these BTI numbers, yet again, kind of in the middle twos. So the good news is there at least that these aren't really climbing as far as the BTI numbers are concerned, but it's more in the way of just strong winds that are inside of these storms. Let me turn some of this off and see what we have going on with the Precision Tracker with some of these winds, and I'll kind of cherry pick some of the stronger winds right now between really along Highway 1, not too far away from Harrisburg, Arkansas. That's where there could be some strong winds. So this is Highway 1 that we have going on right here in the middle, well, towards the middle of the screen here, just to the west of 555, to the east of 49 here, to the east of Wiener and west of Truman. That's where some of the strongest winds are right now. I I want to turn around and put this on just a little bit of a loop and see if we have more of these brighter greens kind of popping up, or if they're starting to go away a little bit. If they're starting to go away, that means it's trying to become weaker. More of them are popping up. That means they're trying to become stronger here. And it looks like they're kind of remaining at bay. Well, I can't really say at bay because that is a town in Craighead County, but it looks like they're not trying to become significantly stronger, and they're not necessarily turning weaker either. So I guess the good news is they're not turning stronger. The bad news is they're not necessarily turning weaker either. What else the National Weather Service noting? Do you want to put a track on this way while I'm looking at different information, kind of see what we have going on with these? The most significant severe thunderstorm that we have right now, it's moving through Poinsett County. These are moving to the southeast at about 40 to 45-ish miles per hour. I'll put the track on there for 42 miles per hour. Upper left-hand portion of your screen, those are some of the towns and cities that will be hit by these at the given times that are next to them. And I know this doesn't have any western Tennessee towns on them. That's because the immediate threat is more so into northeast Arkansas. But over towards Millington, Munford, and Covington, your time frame is about 5 o'clock when this is going to be hitting your general area here along Highway 51. So your first alert, if you're along Highway 51, if you're into Shelby County, if you're in Tipton County, about 5 o'clock is when you can anticipate that. And I guess that's easy to remember, hey, because Highway 51 at about 5, so 5 and 5 there. That's what I'll take and run with right now. I always think it's kind of a good thing when the National Weather Service isn't necessarily having a big conversation going on right now, because while we do have the severe thunderstorms around, they might not think, they're kind of keeping an eye on things right now. And obviously that's exactly what we're doing right now here, tracking some of these showers and storms to the southeast. But everything's kind of behaving right now. They are still severe, don't get me wrong about that. But the winds certainly look to be a bigger threat out of this in Poinsett County than anywhere else. And the reason why this is relevant is because these showers and storms are going to start to impact areas of higher population quantities per se, over into Crittenden County, over into Shelby County, eventually over to Tipton County as well. And that's why we're on here right now, to kind of give you the first alert ahead of all these showers and storms that will be scooting on into the area. So that's where we're at. It's always interesting too, kind of every 15 minutes, I feel like the National Weather Service kind of comes with updates here, and they kind of say, hey, this is what we have going on with this storm. I'm going to jump back over to the wall, guys. But they'll kind of give different updates here, like, hey, this is what's going on with this storm every 15 minutes. This is what's going on with this storm 15 minutes later. And it really kind of allows us to keep track of things here when it comes to these showers and storms. So this was the last track that I just had over here. Osceola by about 423. Turl, some 60-mile-per-hour winds will be possible rolling into the 428 hour. Crawfordsville, about 435. West Memphis, of course, it depends on where you're at within West Memphis, and really Memphis for that matter too. But West Memphis about 4:45, 5 o'clock, and then Memphis by about 5 o'clock or so, and really paralleling Highway 51 by about 5 o'clock or so, as far as the anticipation of the tracks with these showers and storms are concerned. These are still warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch in diameter size hail. Right now, I do think that the wind threat is greater than the hail threat for most of us here. But Poinsett County right now is really kind of taking on the teeth. I do see you guys in the back trying to come up with a couple of different cameras here. And right now, if I had to give you a camera to go try to chase, maybe try to go find one that's on 555 close to Mark Tree, Arkansas, where 55 and 555 start to branch out from each other. Might be able to come up with something there, but that might be a little bit easier said than done, because I know 555 doesn't have a ton of cameras in that area. All right, big view of things here across the Mid-South. Northern Mississippi continues to be quiet. Western Tennessee continues to be quiet as well. It really is Northeast Arkansas that's seeing some of the worst of the showers and storms right now. So got to keep an eye on a couple of these little showers and storms that are just east of Little Rock over towards the Carlisle area. Those look to be sliding eventually towards the Mississippi Delta and into Phillips County as well as Lee counties over the next hour or so. But if you're not seeing anything right now in northern Mississippi or into western Tennessee, it's because there's not really a whole heck of a lot going on. So the good news is there, at least those areas don't have to worry right now about something. The bad news is we do anticipate some of those showers and storms impacting you as we roll throughout the rest of the evening hours. Excuse me. What do we have going on with some of these? So still have a pair of severe thunderstorm warnings in place. One that's further to the north that does include portions of Craighead, Mississippi, and Poinsett counties. Another one that's further to the south here that does include Crittenden, Cross, Craighead, Poinsett counties. These are until 4:45 and 4:30. So if you have any sort of outdoor plans, tours, or activities going on in northeast Arkansas, really before 5 o'clock, you better be ready for some showers and storms to be impacting you, especially north of I-40 here. I will say that these storms ended up developing a little bit further to the north than I originally anticipated here. But with that said, into the Mississippi Delta, you'll be getting your fair share of storms here rather shortly. Let's see what we have going on with the hail tracker. It looks like it's actually starting to simmer down a little bit. A little while ago, we started seeing some purples that were turning into almost bright whites per se, indicating some bigger hail. And some of those hail sizes were at about 1.3 inches. Right now, I'm going to say it's probably about, what, 7/10? Yeah, 7/10 of an inch of hail size here. So it looks like that's starting to trend down here. So there is good news from that perspective, that at least it's trying to become smaller from the hail tracker size. But with that said, it is still 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's still a lot of heat for these to work off of. So they have the ability to develop here rather quickly. Let me clear that off. Put the, we could put the scope back on here, see what we have with the winds, see if there's anything bright starting to pop on up here. There's a scope. Yeah, there's definitely some strong winds that are out there, and I think we're still getting a microburst. What's going on right now in Poinsett County. If you know anybody in Harrisburg, Arkansas, good idea to seek shelter. I know that's saying 24 mile per hour winds. I do think if I got in there closer. Yeah, right on top of Harrisburg, pretty much. The county seat of Poinsett County. Let's see. And that's still only saying 20 some odd miles per hour. But the way that this is situated, when you start to have like one area of green that's surrounded by a bunch of areas of red, that's usually an indication of a microburst going on here. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are some areas in Harrisburg probably seeing some tree damage right now. And those are sliding to the southeast here. So if you're to Twist, if you're over towards Turl, along Highway 64, a little bit further to the south here, good idea to put as many walls between yourself and the outside world. Doesn't look like this is going to turn into a tornadic threat, but it's still one that's going to be packing a bit of a punch here. Put this back on the next rad mode. Let's zoom on out. Give you more of a central location. We'll pan this over, and I'll give you another storm track with this because that's going to be moving into Shelby County. And I bet with the next warning update that does occur here, they're probably going to include Shelby County in this. So this is for the guys in the back. Sergio, just as a heads up. So let's see, it's 4:10 right now. That's till 4:45. I wouldn't be surprised with the next warning that they have if it does include Shelby County. And the policy that we have here at Action News 5 is that once a warning gets issued for Shelby County, we typically jump on here. So this way we give you guys the first alert on the main channel here on Action News 5. I have a feeling we're probably going to get a warning here for Shelby County by about 4:30 or so in about 20 minutes. So just so you guys can kind of prepare for that too. I know we're kind of doing this now, so there's probably not a whole heck of a lot of shuffling that you have to do, but just so you're aware of that. So if this continues yet again at about 40 miles per hour to the southeast, it'll be in Twist at about 4:18, over to Mark Tree by 4:19. Winton, Arkansas, 4:32 is when you can expect some 60 mile per hour winds, some heavy rain, some lightning, and even some small hail. Turl, Arkansas at 4:37. Corona at 4:49. Shelby Forest, obviously this is crossing over the river here at 4:55, and Millington at 5:07, while Bartlett, the potential is some 60 mile per hour winds, some heavy rain, lightning. That will be more in the range of about 5:15. I do want to show you one of the cameras that we do have around right now. This is going to be over into Arkansas. Obviously, you can see on the upper right-hand portion of your screen the Arkansas Department of Transportation logo that is up there. This is near Painway, Arkansas. Well, obviously, you can see there's a couple of drops of rain that are on your screen here. And quite frankly, this doesn't look to be too terribly bad right now. So I guess the good news is that the traffic is moving A-OK right now over towards Painway, Arkansas. But we'll have to kind of continue to monitor this and see what it looks like here in the matter of just a few minutes. But at least over into this portion of northeast Arkansas, it looks like the weather's, I wouldn't say cooperating, but it's not exactly crazy bad out there right now. National Weather Service saying that they're going to, and they already have canceled the warning that is over into Craighead, Mississippi, and Poinsett County. So now we only have one severe thunderstorm warning in place. That's obviously a good thing, so we don't have to contend with a bunch of them. And the only one that we have in place right now is the one that you see on your screen here. So here's some good news, at least. If you are over towards Blytheville, yes, it's about to be raining pretty nastily out there, and you're about to see some pretty heavy rain, some stronger winds. But as far as severe weather is concerned, that general threat is to the south of you. So I want to put the loop back on this again. Let's clear off that one icon first. Put the loop back on this. And yeah, this is definitely weakening to the north. Notice as it kind of went from Craighead into Mississippi counties, instead of seeing the darker reds, even the purples, it really started to fall apart here as far as becoming a little bit weaker. There's a little bit of a spin to this too. So have to kind of keep an eye on that. And I don't mean that from the perspective of tornadic activity, but just an area of low pressure that's trying to develop itself. Further to the south near Harrisburg, had that bigger batch of rain. But even there, too, you don't see the purples popping up quite as much as we were seeing here about a half hour ago. So I guess the good news is this overall storm system, it looks like it's trying to weaken. It's not necessarily trying to become stronger here. So good news on that front. Still do have the one warning in place until I believe it's 4:45 this evening. There we go. And that does include Crittenden, Cross, Mississippi, and Poinsett County. So now one of the questions probably going to be, all right, if I have plans this evening, what should I do? And obviously it's always location dependent. I believe the next graphic I have up here is going to be a future cast. There we go. It's doing a fair job with things. Notice by 6 p.m. I know that this is kind of showing some, at specifically 6, it's showing not as many purples and darker reds. It's because Futurecast is kind of ebbs and flows here. It basically tells itself, all right, start off strong, go weaker, strong, weaker, and it kind of does that over every hour or so. But I do think that as we move towards 6 p.m., it's going to be raining pretty hard here over into Shelby County. We could be dealing still with some stronger winds, some heavy rain, some lightning, things of that nature. And that will continue driving itself down to the southeast here into northern Mississippi by 8 p.m. By 8 p.m., really along and north of I-40, dry weather conditions should be prevailing, and it should be actually a pretty uneventful night deeper into tonight, although I still think we'll be dealing with the showers and storms into the Mississippi Delta. Maybe not so much into northeast Mississippi, but really south of 40 and west of 55. That's the area to keep an eye on here when it does come to the potential of some showers and storms deeper to tonight. But after 8 p.m., I think a lot of the bigger population centers here across the Mid-South, say DeSoto, Shelby, Crittenden County, should be in pretty good shape here. But at least for the time being, still do have the one severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for portions. Really, Poinsett County is the big one right now dealing with this severe thunderstorm. But the wide view of things here, not much going on in northern Mississippi. It's still pretty quiet in western Tennessee. But Craighead, or Cross, Poinsett, Mississippi, and Crittenden counties have that severe thunderstorm warning in place. Turn back on some of the information, dive back in and track some of these showers and storms. Let's see what we have going back on here. So I'm assuming these are still moving at the same general speed and direction that they've been going here. Let me put this loop back on. Yeah, these are definitely becoming weaker. They're not becoming stronger, which is interesting just because, I mean, the peak heating hours of the day are typically between about 1 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's not like it's drastically cooler now at 4:16 compared to it being, 3:15 or so. Temperatures are still well into the 90s here out ahead of these showers and storms, but these are still scooting down to the southeast here. I'll pause the radar. Let's put this on. We'll put the next rad on. We are going to put another track on this. We'll track this throughout Poinsett County and into the far southern portion of Cross County. I think these are kind of doing something, generally speaking, like this. Keep in mind, just because you see your town on the right-hand side of your screen doesn't mean that you're going to be impacted by a severe thunderstorm, but you'll probably see some rain showers and thunderstorms out of this. Mark 2 at 4:21, so in about 5 minutes, you'll be dealing with some stronger winds, some hail, potentially some small hail, heavier rain, as well as lightning. Earl, Arkansas, 4:29. Turl, Arkansas, 4:39. West Memphis, just before 5 o'clock. The anticipation is that you'll have some stronger winds, maybe 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, some heavier rain, and some lightning could be around. In Memphis, just after 5 o'clock, same idea in Millington. South Haven, your time frame is in the range of about 5:30 here when you could be encountering some stronger winds, some heavier rain, and some lightning. But I'm at least cautiously optimistic that these look like they're trying to weaken ever so slightly here, and they're not trying to get stronger. I want to go back over to the First Alert Precision Tracker while we have this kind of rocking and rolling here. Maybe we actually won't end up being on as long tonight as I thought we were going to be, which I'm not going to be upset about that, especially since the old throat feels like it's got a wad of dust in it right now. It's not exactly ideal, but some days you're the bat and other days you're the ball. And there's still nothing really popping up here when I kind of click on some of these information tracks. These are storm center identification tracks, these arrows that are on your screen here. You might be able to see them out there in the distance that give us kind of the meat and potatoes inside of these showers and storms. And the BTI numbers on this are still into the lower 2s and even some upper 1s. So these look to be slipping than they are necessarily climbing. But that's a good thing. We never want high BTIs. Not that this is really a tornadic setup per se, but still never want to have high numbers with this. On the upper right-hand portion of your screen, notice it says total strikes. This is looking at the lightning counter. Let me roll this over the past hour and see if that number is climbing or if it's falling. I'm going to guess it's falling. So let's see. We had that number getting pretty dang close to about 300 strikes. And now we're at about 120 strikes, so it was able to slip just a little bit. And meteorologist Patrick Ellis, he just showed up to make a cameo and to join the party here. So, Patrick, the good news is it looks like some of these showers and storms are trying to fall apart and become a little bit weaker here. But obviously, it's only 4:15 in the evening, so hopefully we're not going to be here for an extended period of time. But you got to roll with it. Right now, if you know anybody that is over into Clarkdale, Turl, Mark Tree, Togo, Earl, Arkansas, give them a first alert. Let them, I'm sure that a lot of those areas already know, but good idea to give them a first alert. Let them know exactly what they are going to be dealing with here rather shortly. Some showers and storms that will be knocking on the doorstep here over the next couple of minutes. Earl, Arkansas at 4:23 in the matter of, 4 minutes or so. Tyron's at 4:25. Gilmore within 15 minutes. You can anticipate some 60-mile-per-hour winds, some heavy rain, some lightning. Clarkdale by 4:40, Jordan 4:43. Mud Island, we're starting to cross over the Mississippi River just at around 5 o'clock here. So it'll be interesting to see as the National Weather Service has this unfold here, what they'll do with this as far as the next warning. With it being 4:20, this warning's supposed to expire at 4:45. In a situation like this, they typically update the warning at about 4:30 or so, maybe a tick after that. And I'll be curious to see what they'll do with this because there is there's definitely some notice that this is trying to weaken and get stronger, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way either. But these continue to be warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 1-inch in diameter size hail. The First Alert Precision Tracker picking some of these up here. And the worst of it right now is into eastern Cross County. Let me turn off some of this information, turn some of this lightning off as well. Some of these winds, let's see what we have near Boat Run. These are still showing some severe winds here. So the winds are still packing a punch in Crittenden, Cross, and Poinsett counties, with these sliding to the southeast over towards Turl within the next few minutes. Your first alert, if you know anybody in Turl, the winds are about to be pretty strong there. You're about to see pretty nasty weather. I don't think it's necessarily going to be anything you haven't seen before, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be exactly the most pleasant weather conditions you've ever had. There's a little bit of spin up there, but when it comes to the rotation detector, this is indicating some moderate rotation, and even then it's kind of on the lower end of the moderate scale. The debris detector doesn't have anything. It's not even picking anything up. So, yeah, I think these are honestly kind of baseline severe thunderstorms. It's probably a good call from the National Weather Service to have warnings on these, but these aren't, too significant of thunderstorms right now. So there is at least that working in our favor. Put another track on for this. These are moving at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Slip it on over. Mark Tree at 4:22. Tyron's at 4:28. Gilmore at 4:37. Turl, Arkansas at 4:41. You can anticipate some 60-mile-per-hour winds, some 1-inch diameter size hail, some lightning, as well as some heavier rain. Joyner 4:43 is your time. Clarkdale 4:46. Millington by about 5:09, and then Bartlett at 5:18. There you go.
Nice to see you here.
Well, lovely to see you on a Saturday, Patrick. Just absolutely.
I try to oblige every now and then. I had to go get y'all's nephew from a birthday party. So.
Oh, hopefully it was a smashing birthday party.
It was a good birthday party. All right, let's talk about all the things that are going on here. Give Eric a little bit of break, which he's been doing a great job so far with these severe storms making their way across the Mid-South. Here's a look at the first alert to the severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 10 o'clock. This includes the entire Action News 5 coverage area here as we go through the next little bit. Needless to say, this is going to be a couple of storms that will get a little active here in the next several hours, and obviously we've been tracking those here so far in the last few hours. The one severe thunderstorm warning that we currently have in effect, this is going to be for Poinsett County, far northeastern portions of Cross County, northern areas of Crittenden County, and southern areas of Mississippi County. Now, the next warning cycle that would come down on this would probably include portions of Tipton County, northern Shelby County, as this continues to work its way down towards the east and southeast. These have been packing a punch, and as Eric was mentioning, earlier, some of these storms up here in Craighead County, Greene County, Randolph County, you start heading up into northeastern Arkansas. I mean, these things had quite the wallop with them, 50-plus mile-per-hour winds in the very least. But these storms are starting to congeal a little bit, so that will help out. But, in kind of putting everything into one cell of storms doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to see severe weather. Actually, with the cell merger, you would have a tendency to see a perk up in stronger storms. I think that has already occurred, though, so that will help out. But another thing we may need to watch here, and one thing to note here, let me put this into a loop and kind of see the bearings here. Yeah, so back here towards the back side of the storm, I was wondering if that was surging in behind the main batch that's already moved past Harrisburg. It's now moving out towards Tyronza, Mark Tree, Joyland, coming across the Tyronza River here shortly, and again coming right down I-555. Again, the strongest portion of that storm is probably going to be there near the 555-55 juncture within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So if you're traveling towards Jonesboro, know somebody heading up in that direction, probably want to give them a heads up. I can see y'all moving the camera over in the BAM. The camera that we probably want to look at is going to be Mark Tree or Tyronza, so farther down 555. That's going to be where we're probably going to see the worst of it. Or Painway. Painway would be another spot, probably getting a pretty good lick right now.
Just a little while ago, wasn't too crazy, but I'm sure now, yeah, it's gonna start to pick up.
Yeah, and so these storms are going to continue to work their way. Let's see there. There you go.
Painway definitely picked up.
Yeah, Painway definitely picked up. Now go back to the other one. So that's the live look. Let's take that camera that's in the BAM right now. That's going to be at Painway at Arkansas Highway 463. So again, this is going to be the strong storm that's now moving through right there at that corner where you would turn back up to the north, going towards Jonesboro and Truman, coming from Mark Tree and Joyland. So this is going to continue to work its way down towards the south and east. So that gives you kind of an idea of what it looks like as it's moving through. If y'all could go ahead and pull up the camera at 55 and Turl, so we can get kind of just ahead of it. And see what it looks like just ahead of the storms and what people can expect. But again, that's going to continue to work its way towards Turl, heads up to Millington, heads up to Drummond's, Wilkinsville, as well as Munford and Atoka, Rosemark and Bolton, Lucy, Cuba, Shelby Forest, because this is going to come across the river and probably be right in that same general direction there in northern Shelby County here in the next little bit. It may clip, obviously, the southern portion of that area down towards the south. Did you just put that in my
Yeah,
okay.
Well, we were on the camera. I was going to flip it over to your name.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Let's go over to the camera. So that's going to be at 55 and 555 in Turl. So there you go. That's exit 21, and we're looking towards the north. So the storm of note would be on the left-hand side of the screen here. So you're looking, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be before you get to the exit there on the south side of the exit. So if you're coming up from Marion and West Memphis, that's where that's going to be located at. So definitely something that you need to be prepared for as the storm is moving in here. But right now, this particular camera dry. Give it about 10 minutes. It'll be a completely different story. Time right now is 4:26, and of course, still looking at the potential for more rain and storms coming back into the fold here. And there you
go.
Well,
oh, mother of pearl. Sorry about that, man.
There we go. No worries. There we go. We'll zoom back in and look at the storm of note. Move this into velocity mode here and kind of give you an idea of which way the winds are blowing. Remember, this is the how hard it's blowing, how hard the rain is coming down mode. So the darker reds, that would be indicative of the heavier rains. You put this into the which way the winds are blowing mode, which green would indicate that the winds are heading towards the radar site in Millington. And right in through here, that's where we're seeing some of these storms kind of popping up here. There's a couple pockets right there in northern portions of Crittenden County that may be over 60 miles per hour. And it may just be these little bursts of wind that's kind of hop skipping towards that camera. So let's keep an eye on that Turl camera because I have a sneaking suspicion that we're about to see the winds picking up here very shortly because of that very reason here. But again, the overall track here, and Eric, tell me how fast these are moving.
40.
40?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put...
And for what it's worth, too, National Weather Service saying they're going to have a new warning out soon for the southern flank of the current warning. And it will be flared out in size.
And it's probably going to include Shelby County.
I bet you're right.
All right, so we are in preseason football right now. The Saints are losing.
Sorry about that. Well, so, okay, we have a minute until halftime.
Okay.
Just for what that's worth, just as far as thinking about this out loud here. Obviously, it'd be very convenient if they could run out the ball to the halftime and we could kind of go from there.
Okay.
What are you thinking? Warning was just issued. It does include Shelby.
Yeah, okay. So
And it includes the heart of Shelby, too.
yeah, it does include all of Shelby County. So let's come back over here and let's keep an eye on the game. We are still live on Messin, if I'm not mistaken.
Should be.
Okay, so we're live on the Mid-South Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm going to go check here in a second, make sure that the crawl's still going to update it, and we'll push out a new notification letting folks know that we got a new severe thunderstorm warning.
Let me know when you want to take this over a little bit. I could do that.
But let's go ahead and look at
go for it.
at the storm track real quick and kind of give everybody a heads up, a first alert of when this would be moving in your direction. Osceola basically on top of you guys right now. Turl, 4:34. I'm still looking at that camera waiting for the winds to start picking up. Marion by about 4:51. Covington in Tipton County by about 5 o'clock. That would mean that somewhere around 5:10, we're talking Atoka and Munford, and probably Millington as well. Raleigh by 5:10, 5:15 in the heart of Memphis. We talk that would be Midtown Memphis. Lakeland by about 5:21, and of course several other areas like Bartlett would be included there, as well as portions of Bolton and Rosemark will also be included in that severe thunderstorm warning that just came out. So this is going to go until what, 5:15? Okay, so new severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15, and like I said, we'll wait for a second. And then we'll pop it over to the television side and just give everybody a heads up of where we are and go from there with the new severe thunderstorm warning. Because I know that more than likely people, I'm a Saints fan, but also they're getting their tails whacked right now. So
Well, because they're saving up for regular season.
yeah, everybody's not doing so well in the season right now. How much? How many? 80 in where? Okay, well, we haven't even got to the MLGW yet, but thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Because very soon we'll get the storms to actually move into the metro area. So again, Jerry Askin just walked in and said there's 80 homes and businesses without power right now, and we haven't even gotten to this storm moving through here. And there's a couple of these pockets right here, Eric. You can see those little blue pockets right there. You might be able to see it on Precision Tracker a little better, where we have these little pockets in northern portions of Crittenden County. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of 50 and 60 mile per hour little bursts of wind along with it.
I think that's a matter of when, not necessarily if it's going to happen here. And this is the Precision Tracker's even got some 60+ mile per hour winds on it, and I feel like the Precision Tracker usually does a decent job when it comes to the storm winds that are on this here. So yet again, if you know anybody that's traveling on 555, 55, where they kind of intersect each other near Turl, give them a first alert, let them know what they have going on here, because the winds are they're going to be pretty nasty here rather shortly if they're not already. And the good news is, I guess, at least out of this, that we're not seeing a bunch of rotation out of this.
Yeah.
So we're not worried about a tornadic threat. But the first thing you're going to feel will be the winds, and then you'll get the rain, and then there could be some hail embedded within this too. Haven't had any confirmed hail reports out of this yet, so that is something that I guess is a positive note. With that said, I do think we are going to see some hail out of this into the far northwestern corner of Mississippi County here. So I know over into West Memphis, over at Riverside Raceway, that they were supposed to have a big race tonight, and kind of hoping that this is going to stay void of them, but it's not looking too good here as far as West Memphis is concerned over the next little bit. Let me put this back on a pause here, and I want to give you a first alert storm track too from the Precision Tracker. I've been saying over the past little bit that these have been moving at about 40 miles per hour, and that still continues to be the case, but I do think they're going to start to cross the river here as we get closer to 5 o'clock. Right now it's 4:30, so in the span of about 30 minutes or so, this is going to be crossing over into Shelby County. Sunset at 4:51, Marion at 4:52, West Memphis at 4:57, and Mud Island at 5:03. So all these areas will be getting these showers and thunderstorms impacted on you here within the next about half hour or so. Yet again, Earl pretty much on top of you right now, Gilmore 4:37, Turl 4:40s when you can anticipate some stronger winds as well as some heavier rain, lightning, and some small hail. And so you know, Patrick, they did just make it to halftime here as far as that Saints-Rams game is concerned.
Okay, so let's do this really quickly. Let me send this out.
I got you. So these are moving still to the southeast here at about 40 miles per hour. If you have any sort of outdoor plans here, let's see, National Weather Service continuing the severe thunderstorm warning. I mean, that makes sense, but that's the old one per se, too. I'm sure they're going to let that just run out here within the next 15 minutes. What you got, Patrick? What are you thinking?
I'm just going to say, let's go ahead and hop on the main stick here and give everybody an update, let them know where we are.
Yeah.
We'll let the game keep going,
Yeah.
but I understand that I don't know how long, it's like we'll have halftime, so we
It's
might
kind of a funny spot to be in.
Yeah. So let's do this. So let's pause here for a second. We'll hop on the main channel
Okay.
for a minute and give an update. We'll also push ahead to where we are with the storms moving through the area, and then we'll come back and then kind of bobtail back and forth on TV. All right, so whenever you guys are ready, just let us know when we'll pop up over here on the main channel, and we'll pause here for just a second. First Alert meteorologist Patrick Ellis here with First Alert meteorologist Eric Brill. We are tracking strong and severe thunderstorms making their way into the Mid-South, including a new severe thunderstorm warning that just came out within the last couple of minutes until 5:15 for Shelby County. This does include portions of Crittenden County and Tipton County as well. And actually, as I'm looking at this, let's go ahead and take that camera that's at 555 and 55 in Turl, because they are getting rocked with some winds. So this is the storm that is of note, the severe thunderstorm that is now making its way into northern portions of Crittenden County. And you see the camera bouncing up and down there as they're getting some pretty strong winds here. Now, Eric, you're looking at it a little closer on the First Alert precision tracker. How fast are those winds blowing there? Now, that might be a loft, but it's still pretty strong storms that are moving through that area, obviously.
Yeah, it looks like in the range of this is indicating some 60 to 65 mile per hour winds, or at least a possibility here. Even if you turned around and took 10 to 15% off of those, we're still looking in the range of about 50 to even still 60 mile per hour winds that could be around with this. So the reason why we're on right now is because these showers and thunderstorms that are severe, they are moving to the southeast and will be impacting Shelby County, Tipton County here over the next half hour. The way that I've been looking at this, obviously you're watching Channel 5 right now. At 5 o'clock, that's when these are going to be crossing over the Mississippi River and impacting, whether it be Shelby Forest, Millington, Raleigh, and Fraser, some of those areas that are around there right now. If you're in northern Mississippi, it's been quiet, it's been hot throughout the day here. I do want to give you a first alert kind of to that too. Not really a whole heck of a lot going on, a couple of small showers in Benton County, but this cluster of showers and thunderstorms that has been severe now for the past couple of hours, that's where we have been keeping the closest eye on right now. I do want to turn around, give you a little bit closer look at some of those showers and storms, and give you the first alert to those. There are right now still 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place here. One that expires at 4:45 and a bigger one that is set to expire at 5:15. And I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing ones that get extended longer than this. But over to Turl, it's pretty much on top of you right now. Joyner at 4:39, Clarkdale 4:41, Wilson at 4:42. A little bit further down the line here, West Memphis at 4:57, and Mud Island at 5 o'clock. So here's your first alert to that. The showers and thunderstorms will continue to move to the southeast at about 40 miles per hour, with the winds being the biggest threat. But Patrick, I know we have that severe thunderstorm watch in place. When is that until?
That's going to go until 10 o'clock this evening, Eric, for the entire Action News 5 coverage area. Now, understand, I don't think we're going to see everybody seeing storms here with this, but this at least gives you an indication that the storms that we do have here today could become strong to severe. Primary issues are going to come from wind, but the potential for hail cannot completely be ruled out during this time frame here. So again, we have that severe thunderstorm watch. It includes all of the Action News 5 coverage area until 10 o'clock. You are not going to miss the game here. We will stay on the air because, again, we're in the midst of halftime right now for the preseason game with the Rams and the Saints. We will not let you miss the game, but we are going to continue streaming also on the Mid-South Sports and Entertainment Network. That's digital channel 5.3, as well as Xfinity 907. We can also get it updated on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app and also on the news app as well. But we're going to hold here on the television side, obviously, with the new severe thunderstorm warning, and we'll kind of bob around here for the next couple of minutes and kind of give you an update. And you guys in the back, let me know whenever we are about to come back out from the halftime.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of hang out here for a little bit, obviously with the new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Shelby County. And there's 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, as Eric was mentioning. The main one you see here that covers from Tipton County through Shelby County into the southern portions of Crittenden County, southern Mississippi County, and even portions of Cross and Poinsett County. That goes until 5:15, the larger severe thunderstorm watch box here. Now, I do see something that's interesting here, Eric. See that little line of showers right ahead of it? That is indicative of an outflow boundary, and more than likely, that means that the storm may be trying to collapse. That's good news from the perspective that the storm is trying to kind of fall apart on itself. And that means that more than likely out ahead of it is probably pushing out some gusty winds, as we saw there from that camera that was at I-55 and 555. I see you guys trying to pull it back up. If you could, let's go back over to it and kind of give everybody a perspective of this is what it looks like when a storm that is severe moving in your area. And you see folks with the flashers on. That is illegal technically, but do not, I'm not your dad. You do whatever you want to do. But you need to make sure that you stay cognizant of what's happening here. What you see, the truck that's moving underneath the sign there, they are heading northbound. They're heading up towards Blytheville. The folks who are heading in the other direction, they're heading towards Marion and West Memphis. You see the camera getting shrouded with rain, moving into that area, and you see the rain also shooting across the camera lens there. That means that wind is blowing out. And I think that what we saw initially, that was the outflow boundary.
Yeah,
this is the actual severe storm that's moving in.
Yeah, so the first thing you're going to get out of this is the gust of wind. Then you're going to get the rain, maybe some small hail that could be following up in a couple of minutes. And then it's kind of the rest of the thunderstorm here. So really the worst of this as far as the impacts are concerned, you're going to feel the wind before you necessarily hear or see the rain itself here. And as far as just the strongest winds are concerned, this is going to be crossing over into Shelby County, I think really in about the next 15 minutes or so. The areas that we'll be kind of seeing this first will be over towards Shelby Forest, Benjystown, Mud Island, New Chicago, some of those areas that are right along the river there. So your first alert as far as seeing some of those strong winds, some 50+ mile per hour winds. If you have any loose lawn furniture that's outside, trash cans that you've been kind of procrastinating bringing on inside, it's a good idea to bring them on in right now because the winds are going to be kicking up here rather soon. And Patrick, I guess, the good thing about this, as you said, it looks like it's trying to collapse. It's not necessarily trying to become stronger per se either.
Yes. Now, there's a lot of heat. There's a lot of humidity outside today. There's a lot of storm fuel for these storms to ride along. So it wouldn't be surprising that this collapses and then tries to pulse back up here. And even that outflow boundary I was just mentioning right there, that gust front that's moving down, be approaching Sunset, and soon enough we'll be crossing over, I think it should be over Clarkdale Road right now, heading over towards Marion. That would be US Highway 64 and Arkansas Highway 77 out here. And then you also have down towards West Memphis. So that's going to be moving in that direction here soon. Let's go ahead and let's go down a little farther south. Let's take the camera, the RDOT camera that's at Marion. I want to just get ahead of the storm because that will at least give us an idea of where that gust front is. Let's put a storm track on that while we're doing that. Again, about 40 miles per hour
Correct.
Down towards the south and east. This would be the leading edge of the actual winds moving in. And this will take it out for about 45 minutes or so. West Memphis by 4:50. The time right now is 4:40. Marion basically on top of you guys at this point. Let's go ahead and take that camera. Where's that one at? That's at mile marker. I see it there. 12 at Jericho. Yeah. Okay, so that would be, let's take that camera. You see the trees off on the right-hand side. That's the gust front moving through there. That's not even the severe storm. That's the gust front. And so you're probably getting a good 45, 50 mile an hour wind gusts.
The way that those trees are swaying, I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably even 50 to 55 more than it's even 40 to 50. I mean, those things are swaying. And look, too, also the dust that's kind of in the background with those farms, too. So the visibility's taking a little bit of a dip. Now, in reality, the visibility's fine if you're traveling. But if you are driving a high-profile vehicle, especially if those winds hit you in a perpendicular way or kind of at the wrong angle.
Which they kind of are.
Yeah.
They're shooting across the interstate at like a 35-degree angle.
The trash that's even on the bottom of your screen, too. You can kind of see that blowing around, too, closer to the median there. So, yeah, it's not the nicest drive right now along 55.
I think that's going to be close to the KOA campground.
Yep.
So this will be just
golf course
north,
over there, too?
Yeah, just north of there. So this is where that's at. You got the liquor store. That's right there on the right-hand side. There's the truck place.
Is that Marion High School? Is that over there, too?
No. That's farther down. That's farther down. We're a little farther north of there. We're maybe about 5 minutes north of Marion at this point. So again, you see the dust kind of moving across that area at the present, but I would assume that the gust is probably getting closer to the core of Marion there as it's moving down towards US Highway 64. So again, West Memphis by about 4:50. Fraser heads up to Fraser, North Memphis, 4:57. This is the gust front, not the actual severe storm itself. That's now moving through Turl and moving into northern portions of Crittenden County. Raleigh by 5:03. Midtown Memphis by 5:06. Shelby Farms, so East Memphis, we start getting out there by about 4:15. And Germantown by 5:20, Fisherville by 5:26. That's the gust front. Now, we can put another storm track on this and say 40 miles per hour for the actual storm itself, which is about 5 miles displaced from that gust front. Well, actually, I'm doing this the wrong way, but we'll put it this way. And, places like Shelby Forest, Millington, Bartlett, Bolton, Lakeland also would be included in this larger severe thunderstorm warning that is currently in effect here. So again, we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings currently in effect, but for really just the one storm. This one that's embedded in the larger severe thunderstorm warning, that is going to drop off at 4:45. This one goes until 5:15 this afternoon. Just let me know if there's any updates on the game. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I got a minute left before we go back to the game. We're giving you a first alert here on the television side. We're going to continue streaming on Action News 5, and actually we'll probably break back in when the storm gets into Shelby County and give you another heads up of where this is once it comes across the river. But we are going to stay with our friends in northern portions of Crittenden County over on the Mid-South Sports and Entertainment Network. That's digital channel 5.3 and Xfinity 907. You can also stream it live on actionnews5.com. We also have it up on the weather app and the news app, so you can go on to either one of those. You can find yourself and hit the MSEN tab there, and that will be the live stream that you need to watch. But we will continue that also over on Facebook as well. I do believe we're streaming on Facebook as well. So we are streaming in all different locations here.
YouTube, keep going down the line.
Yeah.
We should be on everything.
So what we're going to do here, 30 seconds left, we're going to send you back over on the main 5.1 over to the football game. The scroll skills are going to run. We are still live in other places, like I've just mentioned, Messon, as well as the weather app, the news app, and as well as what's going on over on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll break back in once the storm actually comes back across the Mississippi River. We'll send you back over to regular programming here on WMC Action News 5, and we'll continue with the programming over with the weather issues over on the Mid-South Sports and Entertainment Network. All right, we are still live on the Mid-South Sports and Entertainment Network.
Appreciate that, my guy.
And y'all just take
thanks, man.
There we go. All right. We are still live on the Mid-South Sports Entertainment Network as well as on all the online portions of this. And we're still going to track the storm. The scroll's at the bottom of 5.1 letting you know where we are, and we will continue to provide the information here, but we'll break back in over on 5.1 coming up here once the storm comes across the river and kind of give a heads up and a first alert to everybody coming in. All right, Eric, I'm going to go update something really quickly on the crawl and let you handle this for just a second.
Sure, I got you.
As this is moving across.
No worries, man. Patrick's really good about the crawl. He's kind of going to own the meat and the potatoes of that here. So kind of when he says, Eric, I got to go take care of this, I say, I got you, Patrick. And I appreciate Patrick coming on in today. Both of us here on a Saturday with Jerry Askin. What else would you rather have here as far as a Saturday evening and a Saturday afternoon is concerned? So as far as the impacts of this, the wind's going to be the biggest thing, and that's going to be the first thing that you'll notice out of this. So while the track that I have here, it is for the actual showers and storms themselves, you're going to experience the winds before that. And you're saying, why do you want to see that? Well, a lot of people, usually when you see the showers and storms first, I know that's kind of the time you want on this. Sunset, it's pretty much on top of you right now over the next couple of minutes. Marion, same idea, by 4:52. West Memphis. 5:03 is when you can anticipate some heavier rain, some winds, some lightning. Mud Island at 5:05. Memphis, 5:07 is your time. Into Beale Street and really downtown Memphis, as well as Tom Lee Park at 5:08. The Memphis Zoo, Midtown Memphis by 5:11, and then Bartlett at 5:17. That's when the actual rain's going to start, but I do think that we are going to see the stronger winds really before that here. And you've heard meteorologist Patrick Ellis alluding to it, that we have a little bit of a gust front popping up here. I know it's tough to see on your screen. I will draw it here so this way you get a little better idea exactly where it is. It's kind of this area that's circled within here. This is moving in this general direction, and that's where the strongest winds are right now. And some of these winds, when we've been looking at it here with some of the Arkansas Department of Transportation cameras, it's tough to really eyeball and see exactly how much a tree is swaying and how fast the winds are, but it seems like it's been in the range of about 50 to 55 miles per hour as far as some of these strong winds are concerned here. So your first alert, if you know anybody that's near the 55 and 40 connector in West Memphis, the winds probably have been picking up here the past couple of minutes. Some heavier rain isn't too far behind. The lightning is with that as well. As far as the hail is concerned is with this, it's been kind of tracking down here. So at least the good news is it looks like we're trying to eliminate one of these threats here. But the strong winds will be the first thing you notice. And you can see the big blob of green on your screen here into the northeast portion of Crittenden County. This is going to be knocking on the door of Shelby Forest, Raleigh, Fraser, all along Highway 51 and points west within the next really about 10 to 15 minutes as far as the heavier rain and the stronger winds that are embedded. The National Weather Service, that one warning, it was set to expire here at 4:45. There was no reason to really add anything onto that because it's already engulfed in this bigger warning here. And some of the showers and storms that are a little bit further to the north into Mississippi County, they're trying to get their act together just a little bit too. But I think the bigger activity right now is into Crittenden County over anywhere else. Let me turn some of the lightning off too.
And I wouldn't be surprised just looking at that. Now we're getting a little closer to the radar site, so maybe it gets a little bit more muddied as it gets a little closer, but you can still see these little perks in wind issues. One coming across western portions of Tipton County, another one about to come across northern areas of Shelby County here shortly. That one and that one right there. So there's two bursts of wind. Had some folks asking questions about Dyersburg as well. So we'll kind of zoom back out because I know we're focused in specifically on what's going on here in Memphis and Shelby County, but I do want to give everybody kind of a heads up and a first alert to where we are presently. Thank you, Eric. And zoom back out and kind of give a broad overview. We have several thunderstorms making their way across eastern Arkansas. The vast majority of the Action News 5 coverage area is still dry, no problems. But we are mainly focused in on the issues of the moment, and that's going to be this storm that's coming through. Take that camera. My goodness. Take that camera over at the RDOT camera, because you can still see those cameras, the trees off on the right-hand side, just blowing. And as you were mentioning, Eric, the dust, we just haven't seen so much. We haven't seen very much rainfall in a lot of spots. There's a lot of dust out there, and I wouldn't have been surprised if we saw some blowing dust across the interstate and reduced visibility. But those winds are blowing a good 40+ miles an hour in the very least, as that storm's kind of blowing out and moving down towards the east-southeast.
National Weather Service, we got a report here at the 555 interchange over in Turl of 41-mile-per-hour gusts.
Okay.
So I still think that as far as these trees swaying, just the look of this looks a little bit stronger than that, but it's in that general range of, say, 40 to 50.
I'm saying 40, 45.
Yeah.
We have a tendency, and
Go ahead.
just at your own personal bias, not you, Eric, but personally, you think the wind's stronger than it actually is. It's just perceived that way.
That's why I like it whenever we have cameras and they have flags. So this way, because honestly, the big flags, you could turn around and figure out exactly how the wind speed is when the flag's being blown straight out, or if it's got a little little wobble to it or whatever.
Yes.
That's just me though.
That's just you. But of course, looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning came out for back over closer to Little Rock too. So we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, but the main one that we're watching is the one obviously that is a much larger breadth of area. I do want to go up north and kind of give folks who are in Mississippi County, out towards Osceola, Kaiser, Wilson, Joyner. I want you to know the severe weather is farther down to the south, is with the storm that is currently in northern Mississippi County, and that was what we were watching there coming across I-55 and I-555. And as Eric just mentioned, about 41-mile-per-hour wind gusts that came from, I guess, the camera that's right there. They have weather sensors on those cameras. So they just truncated the warning just a little bit and just focusing in on now Shelby County and Tipton County generally on top of what's going on there in northern portions of Crittenden County. So again, for our friends in Sunset, Clarkdale, Marion, West Memphis, go ahead and be prepared for at least a 40 to 45-mile-per-hour wind gust, but the potential of upwards of 60-mile-per-hour winds definitely in play here as the storm is now about to move across the Mississippi River here. Let's take the downtown High 5 camera, and
it's a lovely barge moving on by.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know who's got access to turn the camera, and maybe just bump the camera over left a little bit. And if we could do that, maybe you can log in over there. Okay, so we will, the Midtown camera's got a nice shelf cloud on it.
Yeah, so the way I looked at it is that you were talking about moving it to the left.
Yeah.
I said, shoot, the Midtown camera, that's going to be pointing straight to the west.
Yeah,
here.
let's actually take the Midtown camera, and you could see the actual shelf cloud, which would give you indication, again, the drop-off in the winds that are coming down. You see the top side of where it says Best Care Home Services. Yeah, the Best Care Home Services High 5 camera, the little banner up there in the left right-hand corner. That portion right there, that's the actual shelf cloud. That is the wind that is blowing out from that storm. That is your outflow boundary. So that outflow boundary is now moving into the city of Memphis. And I wouldn't be surprised here shortly, Jerry Askin, keep an eye on the MLGW numbers because I have a sneaking suspicion that we're probably going to have those spiking up here in the next little bit. Hopefully not, but you just never know. So just be prepared that we might have some power outages here shortly just because of those gusty winds moving in here. Now, the other thing that I note there, Eric, how high the cloud base is.
Yeah.
You're not getting a tornado out of that.
No, no
So
chance.
this is purely wind and hail potential. And I can see them moving the camera downtown, and you can kind of see
it's almost over that barge over there.
Yeah.
And remember too, as far as just the specific thunderstorms concerned, you're going to feel and experience that wind first. The rain's not going to come till I'd probably say a good 10 minutes later. So, and the wind, in my opinion, is probably going to be the most impactful or the biggest potential issue out of this. So you're going to get that strong burst of wind out of this, and then the rain will follow it up in about 10 to 15 minutes. But I guess, as far as the actual storm itself, I'm not seeing really hail. This is just the wind really from the onset of it.
Yes, and so that's the Best Care Home Services High 5 camera coming from downtown. We've turned it just a little bit to the left. You can see that shelf cloud making its way towards the river presently and moving down to the east-southeast. Now, there could have been a little bit of hail back out to the west.
Yeah.
I saw you pop it up there on Precision Tracker. That was, I guess that was coming out of Poinsett County.
Correct. Yeah, and to the far northwestern corner of Crittenden County, too, kind of where Crittenden Cross, Mississippi, and Poinsett counties all intersect each other here. So looks like there was some hail a little while ago here. Let's see, going back about 4 to 4:30 or so, there probably was some hail that was in that general vicinity here. So been keeping an eye on that, and I'll pop it up behind me so this way you guys can see it as well. There you go with the all hail tracker there. And I know this doesn't necessarily have any towns right on top of it here, but just to the west of Turtle, Arkansas, and to the east of Highway 1. That's where the areas in purple or pink are. That's where there could have been some hail going back here over the past hour or so. But right now, the heavy rain and the potential hail that is embedded would be pretty much right on top of 55 right now throughout Crittenden County, scooting into Shelby County here rather shortly. But this looks to be really right now, I think, just a lot of heavy rain than necessarily hail. There could be some small pea-sized hail within some of these showers and storms just to the west of 55 right now. But overall, this looks to be just a lot of, it's a wind threat and a rain threat and a lightning threat over anything else. If you're in northern Mississippi, it's been quiet throughout the day. There have been a couple of small showers in Benton County, but those have kind of fizzled out. But these showers and storms are, if 55 and 555, if you were kind of to have these be one road right here where they intersect each other and connect to I-22/Highway 78, they're almost kind of paralleling this right now. So if you're in Byhalia, Holly Springs, by the time we move towards, say, about 6:30, 7 o'clock, that's when those are going to be impacting you here. I do want to put a storm track on that just so you can see the general ebbs and flow of that, at least over the next little bit. These are still moving at about 40 miles per hour. So as far as just the rain in general is concerned here, it's going to be moving through the heart of Shelby County.
Take
over about the
that
next
downtown
hour.
camera.
Yeah,
Take
that downtown
camera.
camera just had a bunch of shaking to it here.
Yeah, I'm also watching. I'm watching the game. I'm trying to make sure that it's like I don't cut in before Saints get into a touchdown because I don't need anybody yelling at me. So I'm watching that, and if they get this touchdown, we'll break back in as quickly as possible, or they just lose the downs.
Hey, for the sake of it right now, as far as in the back, how do you want them to come out with this? Do you want them to go onto you, do your thing, go to a camera? As far as just setting it up, producing the back.
Yeah, let's just come back. Let's come straight out to us with that. And like I said, I'm watching it. If they lose a set of downs, then we'll hop out onto the television. But that definitely looks like it's at least a 40, 50 mile an hour wind gust is coming across the river right now.
And I think we're going to hear it here.
We're going to hear it at the station here very shortly. Yeah. So again, just a reminder, again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15. This is going to include Shelby County and the strong winds that are coming across the Mississippi River, hitting the bluff right now, moving into downtown Memphis, as we mentioned, coming across the river at the present. They just got an interception, and the Rams are running it back. Okay, so, all right.
Saints will Saint.
All right, yeah. So let the Rams go, and then let's go hop on television. All right, so let's go ahead and hop on the main stick as they just got a touchdown after that set of downs. So let's go ahead and do that right now on 5.1. Thanks for joining us here on Action News 5. I'm First Alert meteorologist Patrick Elson. We just saw the touchdown there with the Rams. We figured we'd wait until that happened or something happened with the game before we cut back in. But we do want to let you know severe storm is now moving across the Mississippi River into Shelby County. This warning goes until 5:15. Let's take the camera that is at downtown Memphis, our Best Care Home Services High 5 camera, because you're going to see how interesting this looks here. The shelf cloud of the storm is now moving basically on top of the city, and the camera's been bouncing up and down pretty well as we've probably got some 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts coming into the city of Memphis right now as that severe storm now coming across the Mississippi River. So pretty dramatic scene there from our downtown High 5 camera, and that is now moving off towards the east at about 40 miles per hour. So let's put another storm track on this storm, which is coming out of Crittenden County. And of course, this is going to continue to work its way off towards the north and towards south and east at about 40 miles per hour. So we'll put a storm track on it and get it into Shelby County and give everybody a heads up of where this is located at right now and where it's headed over the next little bit. And this storm has had some history over the last little bit of producing 40 and 50 mile per hour winds across portions of Crittenden County as well as Craighead County. Just within the last couple of minutes, we were talking with our friends over at RDOT, and they had a 41 mile per hour wind gust over at the 555-55 juncture there in northern Crittenden County. Harbortown, it's on top of you right now as we're approaching the 5 o'clock hour. Midtown Memphis at 5:07, maybe a little bit sooner than that with that 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust coming down the pipeline. Heads up to Bartlett, Midtown Memphis as well. East Memphis as we get closer to 5:10, 5:12 here this evening. Germantown by about 5:25. Bailey Station, Bray Station, 5:32. Collierville, 5:35. Piperton into Fayette County by about 5:41. This storm is packing quite the punch here as it's been working its way farther off to the east. Let's check in with First Alert meteorologist Eric Brill. Anything that you're seeing that's popping up over on the First Alert precision tracker as the storm's making its way into the area?
So you've been talking about this as far as the track of the storms. They continue to be at about 40 miles per hour, and you're going to experience the strong winds before really anything else. But there is some heavier rain. Some very small hail is possible too. The one area I will say that I'm keeping an eye on, because we've been talking about Shelby County a lot, is over near Drummond's, Tennessee, and Tipton County. This area is starting to ramp up here as far as the activity is concerned. It's starting to hear some thunder here at Action News 5 in Midtown Memphis. But I do want to keep an eye on the area that is into western Tipton County, as that's starting to pick up just a little bit with the activity right now. And notice on your screen here, you see the arrows. These are good ideas as to what's going on kind of in the thick of the storms here. It gives us a little bit of information. The tops of these storms aren't too terribly tall, so they're not necessarily crazy. They're not trying to become crazy strong or severe per se, but they're just riding right along a little boundary that's scooting itself to the southeast. But right now, the big thing just continues to be the wind with these. There's quite a bit of heavy rain and even some lightning that is around with these too. But overall, Patrick, I don't want to say these are kind of typical severe thunderstorms, but relatively speaking, they are. We still do have that severe thunderstorm watch in place. What time is that until again?
The severe thunderstorm watch goes until 10 o'clock, and it does include the entire Action News 5 coverage area here this afternoon. Time right now is 5 o'clock. You're joining us here on Action News 5, and we'll get you back over to regular scheduled programming over on Action News 5 here in a couple of minutes. But we want to give everybody a first alert of where the storms are currently located at. They're moving into Shelby County right now. This will not be for everybody. Not everybody will see storms here today, but where the storms are able to flare up, we got up into the middle and upper 90s again today, and that's going to make that storm fuel really pop with some of these storms here across the Mid-South as the frontal boundary gets ready to head in our direction. But again, 10 p.m. is where that severe thunderstorm watch is going to be allowed to be expired, and hopefully sooner than rather than later. But of course, the big story right now, obviously severe storm now moving into portions of Shelby County, moving into downtown and Midtown here shortly. I just heard the rumbles of thunder here at Action News 5. Let's take that camera again. Actually, let's take the Midtown camera now and give everybody a heads up of where this storm is located at, because I think Midtown's going to be the next ones involved here. We just saw from the downtown perspective, the rain now beginning to come down pretty heavily as it's moving into downtown Memphis. There's the Midtown camera there, our Best Care Home Services High Five camera. You're looking off towards the west, right down Union Avenue, and you see the city skyline basically just getting shrouded in the rain as it's now moving across the Mississippi River. So very soon, that's probably going to be the impact for Midtown's perspective, probably within the next maybe 2 or 3 minutes, if not sooner. Go ahead, Eric.
And for what it's worth, Patrick, National Weather Service is saying that they're about to come out with a new severe thunderstorm warning for, I think it's probably going to be for Lee County as well as to St. Francis County. Okay. So you first alert over towards Mariana, you might be dealing with a pretty strong, or even a severe thunderstorm here rather shortly, noting it is for 60 mile per hour winds and 1 inch diameter size hail. That's sliding itself to the southeast as well here. These have been kind of consistently going at about 40 miles per hour. So if you know anybody that is near Forest City, give them a first alert right now. Let them know that they have a severe thunderstorm at least in their vicinity, even though I think the worst of this is going to stay just west of them.
Yeah, it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out for southern portions of St. Francis County and western areas of Lee County. And that's coming out of Monroe County, Arkansas. Wheatley, Palestine involved with this. This storm wind and hail potential in play here, but the main story, again, we'll come back and track this one as well, but I do want to come back over to the storm of note that's coming into Shelby County, which is about to move right across the Mississippi River. Actually has come across the Mississippi River, and there's still a lot of rain behind this and some gusty winds that's still blowing in behind that. Actually, let's take that RDOT camera. Where's that one at? That's going to be Mound City Road?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to be Crittenden County over at right before you get to West Memphis. So if y'all can take that camera, the RDOT camera at Mound City and I-40, and give us a perspective of what it's looking like over in Crittenden County as the storm's now moving in. There we go right there. There is that camera. That's I-40 near the mountain. Oh, wow.
Oh!
Power flash there.
Yeah, that was well. That might have been lightning striking, I guess, the power pole over
No,
there.
no, that was a straight up power flash.
Was it?
Yeah, it was green. So that was a power flash there. So the transformers adjacent to the power pole there, they popped off there. So probably power is going out now.
In Crittenden County.
In Crittenden County. This is a fairly rural portion of Crittenden County.
Right.
Now you're heading out towards the river at this point, but that gives you the ferocity of these winds that are now moving in. That's probably going to be the case here in Shelby County here very shortly.
But I'm surprised that the camera still has power then. I know that's on the other side of the road, but that'd be kind
Well, like I said, there is, you're heading out towards the river at this point, so it might be on the south side of the interstate.
Touche. That's a good point.
That be the case. But yeah, that was definitely a power flash there as the storm was coming through there. That was the wind blowing into that power line there. So again, we want you to be prepared for the storm now moving into Shelby County. You just saw there. We were surprised to see that as well as it popped up there over at the Mound City interchange at I-40. That is right here. So that's where that is located at. Midtown Memphis is right here. We're just now hearing the rain coming down here at 1960 Union, and very soon the heavy rainfall is about to come down. Let's take that downtown camera now, our Best Care Home Services High 5 camera, because the wind that you just saw there at Mound City is now coming across the Mississippi River, and that's heading right to the bluff.
And that is where you can really start to see the power outages ramp up here, because there's a good chance that transformer just went out because of the winds really just, quite frankly, hitting it at a very quick velocity here. So your first alert, if you are into downtown Memphis and really throughout Shelby County as a whole, try to power up any sort of your mobile devices right now, just in case the power does go out. So this way you can kind of just stay ahead of things here. It's also a good idea to have the Action News 5 First Alert weather app on hand, because at the least here, even if you don't get the power out, just a good one to have on hand so you can track the showers and storms with us. And if the power does go out, you can follow Patrick and myself covering these severe storms across the Mid-South as the rest of the evening does unfold. Worthwhile to note, if you're in northern Mississippi County, if you're into Lauderdale, Crockett, even Haywood, as well as Dyer counties, right now your severe weather threat is to the south of you. It's not really an issue. Do want to talk about that one storm that is over into Lee and St. Francis counties, as that's moving to the east at about 20 miles per hour. So just take a mental note of that, Patrick, if you are going to put a track on that here, that this one's moving here at about 20 miles per hour. The storm threats, at least with the First Alert Precision Tracker, this is indicating some pretty hefty hail that could be around right now. If you know anybody that's traveling along I-40, try to give them a first alert, let them know what we have going on here, because the First Alert Precision Tracker, it's indicating that the hail sizes on this could be 2.5 inches in diameter. This has a tendency to, this is showing you how big the hail is essentially at about, let's see, how high in the sky are we looking with this? This is going to be looking at a few thousand feet into the sky here. So while it might be 2.5 inches worth of hail that's falling, say, at a few thousand feet, once it does reach the surface of the earth, I wouldn't be surprised if there could be some golf ball sized hail near Wheatley, Arkansas. So Patrick, this will be moving into St. Francis and Lee counties before we know it. And we'll obviously be keeping an eye on this too.
Let's can we try to double box the Skycam from either Midtown or downtown and one of us, so we can keep a perspective of a live view on these storms as they're coming across the river. If y'all just let me know when you have it ready, we'll go to it. But let's go ahead and keep tracking this storm, because now it's moving across the river and moving into Shelby County. I'm going to zoom out here and kind of give a bit broader perspective, because I know we have folks who are joining us from all over the place right now. If you're out near Selmer and Corinth, you're probably like, go back to the football game, weatherman. I get it, I understand, but we are also tracking these storms because everybody's going to have to deal with these, at least some of us having to deal with some severe weather here today. Dyersburg, same idea. You can send the hate mail to me later, as well as Oxford. But right now in Shelby County, we have a severe storm. We showed you live here on Action News 5 the power flash there over in Arkansas, as the storms are now moving into that area and now moving into Shelby County. Let's track this out And these storms have been moving at about 40 miles per hour. Now, Eric, I know you said the one that we were talking about over in Arkansas. We'll come back to that here in a second and track that one as well. These storms that are now over Millington, Atoka, Munford, over towards Wilkinsville, down towards Fraser, Lucy, as well as New Chicago, Smoky City, downtown Memphis, uptown Memphis, all the way down to South Memphis, Westwood, Boxtown. All of these areas are dealing with the heavy showers and thunderstorms. So we'll put a storm track on this line off to the east at about 40 miles per east-southeast at about 40 miles per hour. This will take it out an hour. So again, on top of Memphis, basically right now, Lakeland, Tennessee by 5:22, Germantown by 5:23, Collierville 5:34, Oakland by 5:40 or so, Somerville about 5:50, Moscow about almost 5:55, 6 o'clock, and Atway into northern portions of Marshall County by about 6:03. All points in between. Bartlett, not forgetting about you. It's going to be on top of you guys here shortly. Same thing out towards East Memphis and as well as around Berclair, the Heights, High Point Terrace, Sea Isle Park, Orange Mound, all getting involved in these storms here very shortly. It's about to come across I-55 near Graceland here as well into Whitehaven, and moving over towards the Memphis International Airport, the Frederick W. Smith International Airport, excuse me, there in the southern portions of Shelby County. So again, that's on top of you guys right now. Let's take that camera downtown, and if you've got the double box. Let's take the double box, actually. There you go. There's the downtown camera. You see the radar here. That's what this is producing right now. That is looking from the top of the bluff, looking towards the north from the down Riverside Drive at Tom Lee Park. That is the reason why we're on the air with you right now, because that is not fun and probably is going to have at least 40 miles per hour winds, but the severe thunderstorm warning itself upwards of 60 miles per hour winds. So please take this seriously. We just got an update within the last couple of minutes. 371 homes and businesses without power just in Shelby County, and the storm hasn't even gotten to the core of Shelby County. That's just on the edge of how many?
About 4,000.
4,000?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that jumped up very quickly.
Significantly.
Yeah. So that was just within like 2 minutes. I just looked at my watch.
Well, it makes sense, too, because the strongest winds are starting to move through the county itself. And keep in mind that this storm is moving itself from the west to the east here. So that's going to mean business. I do want to talk about, Patrick, if we could just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
That one storm that is over into St. Francis and over into Lee counties. This is looking near Brinkley, Arkansas. And I know that this isn't the main storm in Shelby County right now, but I do just want to show you what it does look like right now if you are over into Marianna and Forest City with that severe thunderstorm warning that you have on top of you right now. What I'll do, I'm going to put the radar back on this so you can see what we have going on with the First Alert Precision Tracker. And while the majority of the storm isn't necessarily right on top of our counties of St. Francis or into Lee County, it is moving itself slowly but surely in that direction. So your First Alert, if you are over into Marianna, Arkansas, let me give you a track on this with the First Alert Precision Tracker so we can see where this is headed towards right now. In the general area of Marianna, this will be on top of you as we roll towards the top of the hour at about 6 o'clock this evening. But obviously we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings going on right now. Clearing this off, going back to the big view here, where you have those 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in place, and one of those that is over into Shelby County right now. It is packing a punch here with quite a bit of wind and some heavier rain. That
44 mile an hour wind gusts here at the station.
Wow.
44.
That's since I've been here at Action News 5, albeit it hasn't been a crazy long time, I think that is actually the strongest winds of a storm since I've been here at 44 miles per hour. Meteorologist Patrick Ellis reporting. This storm, it is still moving itself off to the east here at about 40 miles per hour. So let me give you the First Alert with that as far as some of these stronger winds that are going to be around with this. In Germantown and Collierville, get ready for this. This is going to be knocking on your door in the next 20 minutes or so, specifically in Germantown at 5:30, Collierville by 5:42. Further to the east, Piperton at 5:46, Rossville at 5:52. Over at the Memphis International Airport, I have a feeling that they're probably going to put an airport warning out, which pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong with this, Patrick, I think that kind of closes down the airport for at least a little bit.
Yeah, at least for operations on the airfield, yes.
Right, that makes sense.
And usually they issue an airport warning, but usually that would happen if we did not have a severe thunderstorm warning. I think the severe thunderstorm warning Kearney.
Good point on that.
Oversees that. Yeah, 44-mile-an-hour wind gusts here at the station. Go ahead, Eric.
One thing real quick, the National Weather Service is starting to trim some of the warnings up, the watches up north. They're starting to cancel them out. So Dyer County, you're out of this, Pemiscot County, really into northeast Arkansas as well. But the majority of us, we are still under that watch until 10 p.m.
Okay. So again, 40-plus mile-an-hour winds here in Midtown, and I think those MLGW numbers are about to go creeping up here as the storm continues to work its way farther off to the east. Soon enough, this will start dropping off some of these counties up to the north, as Eric was just mentioning, but the severe thunderstorm watch does go until 10 o'clock tonight.
Correct.
So let's go back over to the storm here, and Eric, I'm going to come back over to you with the other storm that's over in Arkansas.
Copy.
But that storm right now, at least 40-mile-per-hour winds coming into Memphis and Shelby County. And Jerry, you keep an eye on those MLGW numbers, because I think that they're going to be going up here pretty quickly. Put this into a loop over the last hour. You can see how the storm has worked its way from northwest to south and east. We gave you a first alert to this yesterday that some of these storms around 3, 4 o'clock were going to start flaring up. It wasn't going to be for everybody, but definitely some storm opportunities. And that's unfortunately the reality when you have highs in the middle and upper 90s, higher humidity levels start creeping back in here along a frontal boundary. This is what you end up with here, and that may be a common sight in our forecast for the next couple of days. Hate to tell you, but at least we get some rain out of it, right? That's the only positive thing, because this is not going to be fun as it's moving off towards the east. So let me back up here and put a stop on this really quickly, and we'll go back out to the larger view and kind of give everybody a broader perspective of where everything is located at. As we were mentioning a couple of minutes ago, we still have that severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15. You said that they're going to issue a new one downstream of this, right?
For this one, they haven't. I haven't seen that, but they have to, I'd imagine.
Yeah, at this point, just based off of what we're seeing here. So
Right.
let's go back in, zoom in a little bit closer, try to get down to the county level. We're even taking a couple power bumps here at the station, the 1960 Union. So let's put a storm track on this as it's now moving out east of East Parkway and moving out towards 240 and the flyover. Raleigh, it's on top of you right now. So a heads up, again, strong winds and pushing into Raleigh. Seal Park, 5, there's your new severe
warning,
thunderstorm warning. It's going to be Shelby County, DeSoto County, Marshall County, and it looks like a little clip of Fayette County as well. Hickory Hill, 520. Germantown, about 525. Cordova, 530. Handy Corner, that's going to be in northern portions of DeSoto County, out into east of Olive Branch by about 534. Collierville, 538, as you're getting out towards the 269, the outer loop. At this point, let's go back over to the camera here at 1960 Union. I do want to get another perspective of this. Best Care Home Services High 5 camera. You can't even see downtown at this point. You can't even see to the medical district. That's the heavy rainfall aspect of it, but then you've got the winds going along with it, and looks like at least power's on through about Belvedere. I can see that at least.
Realistically, though, it's going to take a little bit for the power to kind of go in and out, though. I mean, I do want to point out just other areas aside from Shelby County that do have some power outage issues right now. Into Tipton County, last check, there was about 1,000 customers without power. Now we're up to 2,000 customers without power. Into Poinsett County, which first saw these showers and storms, we have 1,000 customers without power. So these numbers will likely be climbing more than they're going to be falling. Crittenden County with another 600, Marshall County with 100, and into Shelby County, I know this is 300, but Jerry Askin was reporting that there was about 4,000 customers a little while ago that did not have power. We do not have cameras. Oh, okay. Copy on that. So just so you guys know as a heads up, we do not have cameras right now because I think we took some sort of, I don't know if I'd say a power bump or it knocked it out, but.
Yeah, definitely a power bump. Okay. Keegan, can you get the Clark Tower camera up? Because that'll be the next one that's going to be dealing with this. Get the Clark Tower camera up. Yeah, there you go. There's Clark Tower. That's East Memphis. That's Poplar and Mendenhall.
Keegan.
And there you go. The wind's blowing in there. This is now moving out towards 240 and Poplar. This is going to be moving out towards Seal Park, Marquette Park. I'm thinking the Parker Avenue campus of the U of M itself. We got students back on campus now. So again, this is now moving out in that general vicinity. East Memphis, you're next in line with the strong winds now moving in your direction. We're going to try to track this out as much as we can. I'm going to keep naming out random places, from trying to get the camera perspective. Next T-dot camera that I want to get is going to be at the flyover. So get that one ready. But I want to stay here for just a second. Let's stay on that camera for just a second, but the next T-dot camera is going to be at the flyover. That is, again, the wall of water that you see off in the distance. That is actually the rain that's coming in. We are hearing it here at Action News 5. Like I said, about a 44 mile per hour wind gust within the last couple of minutes at Action News 5, and more than likely, I think that was about what we were feeling there at the top of the Clark Tower.
And keep in mind, too, obviously, the Clark Tower is going to be a few hundred feet up, so the winds are going to be amplified there compared to the surface of the Earth. With that said, though, these are still going to be kicking here near the surface of the Earth itself. Whether you're in Union, it doesn't make a difference where you're at. We have some pretty strong winds around right now.
Yes, and of course now moving out farther to the east. Let's go back over to radar. Let's come back over here to the radar and track this out again. Again, the strongest portion of the storm moving out towards 240 and I-40, so out near the flyover. White Station, Berclair, moving out toward past Grahamwood. All these areas, Nutbush, all moving out here in that general vicinity. I don't want to forget about this storm that's also to the north of that one that's moving up through Brunswick and Bartlett and Bolton. That one is not severe, but it is heavy.
It's knocking on the door.
It's knocking on the doorstep of severe. That's coming across, let's see here, that'll be like Kirby Whitten. Well, actually, Kirby Whitten be right here. Okay, and we'll take that here in a second. And then we'll, Old Brownsville, Austin P Highway, those areas up there in northern portions of Shelby County, moving out towards, again, North Bartlett, Brunswick, heads up, that's moving on top of you. Arlington, Lakeland next in line for that storm. This severe storm, again, working its way out towards Germantown, coming down 385, coming down Poplar, straight down Poplar, it seems like, from one portion of the county to the other. And we're taking bumps here at the station.
Yeah, this is one of the worst bumps. I'm not going to lie, I've seen since I've been here. Hey, Patrick, I want to go back and talk about that just one storm that is a little bit further to the west as well, over into Lee and St. Francis counties here. You do see that there are some reds and purples that are embedded here. That's usually a good indication of some large hail that is around right now. And the biggest reason why I want to point this out is because this is close to I-40 right now. So if you know anybody that was over in Little Rock throughout the day, they're headed back to the Mid-South here for the evening. Good idea to give them a first alert. Let them know they're about to be driving into a pretty nasty storm. This storm has been moving itself down to the southeast at about 20 miles per hour. Let me give you a track on this so you can see where it's headed towards. Mariana, this is going to be on top of you as we move to about 6 o'clock this evening here. Amoro by 5:32 and Rondo at 6:11. Back out here across the Mid-South. If you're in Dyersburg, if you're into Ripley, Tennessee, Crockett County, you're pretty quiet right now, but we really want to keep a close eye on things as we roll towards Shelby County. These showers and storms, they are moving down to the southeast here at about 40 miles per hour. So it might be quiet right now in Collierville, might be pretty quiet right now in Germantown, might be quiet right now in Rossville, some of these areas, but you are going to be seeing some very strong winds and some pretty heavy rain and lightning that will be on top of you over the next hour or so. Germantown at 5:26, Olive Branch at 5:36, Collierville at 5:38, Piperton, you can anticipate some 60 mile per hour winds, lightning and heavy rain at 5:41, and Rossville by 5:46. Don't want to forget about you in northern Mississippi. Once we get past about 5:40 this evening, that's when this is going to be starting to really move into northeastern DeSoto County and into northern portions of Marshall County.
Let's take the MLGW numbers because they spiked up in a big way here within the last couple of seconds. Jerry, I know you're looking at them as well. Do you have an update?
FYI, 60 mile per hour wind gusts at KMEM.
At the airport, okay.
Yeah.
60 mile an hour wind gusts at the airport. All right.
Check the outage map, 17,000.
17,000. Go ahead.
For what it's worth, we just got a report that there are trees down at North Parkway just south of Poplar Avenue as well.
Okay, so North Parkway and Poplar Avenue. Okay, so that's going to be, let's see here. That's going to be, wait a second. North Parkway and Poplar?
That was where the report was from, yes.
Or is that East Parkway and Poplar?
The eastbound lane of travel on North Parkway just south of Poplar. The report came on 711.
That's going to be East Parkway.
Yeah, it does have to be,
okay.
yeah.
All right, so it's the northbound lanes of East Parkway. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It says eastbound on, no, you're probably right out of that.
So again, that's right around the corner from the station, actually. That's, what, 2 minutes away from the station?
Yeah, literally.
And there are multiple large oak trees in that area. If you go down East Parkway, any of the parkways really, you know that how many of large oak trees are involved there. So that's probably a pretty large oak tree that fell within the last couple of minutes within there near the station. So again, there's the strongest winds now pushing across towards Germantown, coming across Germantown Parkway, Cordova this afternoon. Y'all know I do the morning show, so I'm used to saying mornings. Anyways, Cordova to Bartlett to Germantown, back up north towards Lakeland, out towards Arlington, heads up to Arlington. You're next in line for the strong winds. It's just now pushed through Lakeland within the last couple of minutes out near Garner Lake, up along Houston Levee Road and Canada Road within the last couple of minutes. And then now, like I said, out near Germantown, coming out past Germantown Parkway, out near Saddle Creek. Next in line, Collierville, Bray Station, heads up to you guys. They'll come down Wolf River Boulevard, Poplar Pike, and eventually, paralleling 385 as well. Eric, behind this, the storms are not as intense behind
Correct.
this, but it is going to be pretty loud for quite some time as that storm now moving into those areas. Also, heads up for Olive Branch. You guys are now getting in on those strong winds as well as the storm's now moving into DeSoto County.
Hey, Patrick, just as a heads up, because we've obviously taken some hits here at the station, just be aware that pretty much about the only thing we can rely on is like the radars that we have, and that's about it, because they've lost, they're kind of getting stuff back on track here, but just be aware of that. The storms, the thing in Shelby County that we're the most concerned about right now are the strong winds over anything else. I do want to note, as far as a tornadic threat, we're not worried about that with this. Even as far as hail goes within Shelby County, that's not a big threat out of this. The big thing, truthfully, is the wind and the heavy rain that's on top of us right now. And especially along I-40 right now, this is going over towards Bartlett, Arlington, and Lakeland. That's starting to pick up with activity, I will say, and that's not a warned area.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, I would not be surprised if we're about to get another warning. Right now, we have the warning kind of slicing itself through the central portion of Shelby County and into the southwest corner of Fayette County. This one that's on the northeast of the 240 loop, that's a pretty nasty storm. I have a feeling we're about to get a warning on that because that's picking up pretty badly. Do you want to go back just real quick to the one that's over into Lee as well as into St. Francis counties? This one still continues to move itself down to the southeast here at about 20 miles per hour, and that's got some pretty big hail within it too. Your first alert, if you're in Mariana, you have about 30 minutes before this is going to hit you, and it's got the potential to have some pretty large hail within it and some strong winds. So Patrick got a couple of different warnings on here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were about to turn it into 3 warnings here rather shortly.
Yeah, 28,303.
Without power?
Without power.
In Shelby?
It just in Shelby County.
Wow. So 28,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we haven't even
Wow.
got through the entire county yet. So again, that's giving me some indication that there's a lot of trees that have also probably come down as well. As we just mentioned, East Parkway and Poplar, we just had that report come in within the last couple of minutes. Let's go back over here. I want to show you the velocity mode. This is the which way the winds are blowing mode here. And we would take the cameras, but unfortunately we're having some issues with TDOT cameras and even our in-house cameras at this point because we're taking so many power bumps here even at the station. But these storms right here, they are packing quite the punch here. That's moving off towards the east at about 40 miles per hour. So if you see that bright red right there, that is indicative of the strong and severe winds that are now pushing through the area. And as Eric mentioned, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts over at Memphis International. That's not something to sneeze at, to say the least. That is now moving down towards Olive Branch. Heads up for our friends in Olive Branch. And if you could, guys, try to get one of the cameras in Olive Branch, 302 and Hacks Cross. From the MDOT cameras.
About to get a new warning for that northern Shelby County one, kind of in Bartlett, Lakeland, Arlington.
Yep. All right. So new severe thunderstorm warning that just came out. This is going to be for portions of Shelby County as well as Fayette County. That's the storm that Eric was just mentioning. That's coming across 269 with the strongest wind. That goes until 6:15 for the northern portion of the storm. Now, if you're in Shelby County, the worst of it's right now sitting at Highway 64 and 269 right now, just south of Arlington. That's going to be moving out towards the east. Oakland next in line for that one, as well as Somerville. I would say Piperton, Moscow, Macon, heads up. That's moving in your direction over into Fayette County. The other storm of note, still working its way out of southern portions of Shelby County. That goes until 6 p.m. Again, the strongest winds are approaching Collierville here shortly. So I think we are almost out of the wind issues in Shelby County. Give it probably another 25 minutes, and I think we're done with the wind here, but the rain may continue with the storms that are moving through here. And let me know if y'all get that camera up. I said 302 in the MDOT camera, 302 in Hacks Cross, 302 in Hacks Cross.
So I think there's still a lot going on with the power issues back there.
Yeah.
I do want to point out, though, as far as the track goes with this, Germantown, I know it's pretty much on top of you right now, but as far as a really heavy rain, that will be there literally momentarily. Collierville, 543, Piperton at 545, Rossville, 551. Expect Probably strong winds out ahead of it, but also the heavier rain that will be behind that. Moscow by 6 o'clock, and then Grand Junction by 6:16 here. If you're over into Eads, this is pretty much on top of you right now. You're about to have some very heavy rains, some strong winds, and anticipate the power truthfully going out here. If we're talking about 30,000 people without power in Shelby County, I'd imagine that those numbers are going to start to tick up pretty quickly here, whether it be in Fayette County, Marshall County, or DeSoto County, as really the next hour does come and go. Do want to still talk about that one cluster of showers and storms that is in Lee as well as into St. Francis counties. That's still packing quite a punch here. Wouldn't be surprised if we do have some quarter-sized hail, potentially larger hail than that. The areas that are in the white here, and I know this is in a relatively rural portion of Lee County, but the areas in white just to the north of Morrow, between Morrow, Forest City, and Mariana, it wouldn't surprise me if we did have some hail sizes that could be, say, golf ball-sized hail. And I know this is saying 3-inch in diameter size hail. It's likely a little bit smaller than that. That's actually reaching the earth. And another cluster of hail that could be around near Brinkley, and this is near I-40. That yet again could be some very large hail as well. So that specific storm, the hail's the big threat. Throughout Shelby, DeSoto, and even into Fayette counties, the wind is truthfully your big threat. Further to the north right now, it's still pretty quiet in Dyer County, and it is going to remain pretty quiet here in Dyer County, into Lauderdale County, Crockett, Haywood, and Mississippi County. Poinsett County, even your severe threat has dwindled down quite a bit. Still want to keep an eye on those storms, though, into Cross County and into Crittenden County as well, Patrick.
Yes, of course, the storm of note that I'm keeping an eye on right now, some bursts of wind now moving in the southern portions of Shelby County, Parkway Village, Fox Meadows, Hickory Hill, Capelville. Starting to see some stronger winds beginning to move in there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer because, again, I see 2 or 3 pockets here of 60-plus mile-an-hour winds that are popping up. You see the brighter pinks that are flaring up here. Lakeland, like I said earlier, also 269 and Highway 64 heading out towards Eads and Fisherville. Then down here, this would be Parkway Village, Capelville, Hickory Hill. Moving in this direction, there's 385 right there. So on the south side of 385, approaching Winchester, going past Kirby Parkway, going past Hickory Hill. These areas right in through here, that is where we're seeing some very strong winds. That's going to be out near the intermodal facility and continue to work its way down towards the south and east. I want to give a heads up for our friends in Olive Branch, eastern portions of DeSoto County, because this pocket right here heading in your direction, also by Hialeah, northwestern portions of Marshall County, crossing over 269, probably within the next, 15 minutes or so. Then we'll come back up to the north to the other storm that is coming out of eastern Shelby County that is up closer to 64, heads up for Oakland, because next in line, there's Oakland, Fisherville, this burst of wind.
Wow.
I don't know if we can pull up the, I can see that's Winchester and 385. Take that camera.
Gusts at the airport of 56 knots, which is about 64 miles per hour. Within the past 2 minutes.
Okay, all right. So that goes along with what we're seeing there.
Yes.
60-plus mile-an-hour winds in Shelby County.
That's the area that you just said that it's headed towards. Capelville, Parkway Village, Olive Branch, those areas. If you're right along the DeSoto and Shelby County lines, whether you're either side of the state, be aware the winds it's ramped up there quite a bit. Your first alert, if you're along Highway 72 into northern Marshall County, southern Fayette County, along Highway 57, the winds are about to get pretty nasty there, folks.
Yes, and that was that 385 Winchester. Take that camera again.
Yes.
Take that camera again. And there you go. You're looking from that perspective. You're looking at the curve going towards Collierville. So you're looking back out towards the east. So behind you would be Kirby Parkway. In front of you would be where you go over towards like Dick's and Topgolf. And then off in the distance would be like Sam's and Walmart, all that stuff down there. This is some torrential rain that's coming in there. You see the sheets of rain shooting along the interstate there. And again, that's where that 60-mile-an-hour wind gust would likely be.
Literally, too. It might be slightly south of that even, but I mean, it's that whole range there along 385 with some of those strongest winds. Hey, Patrick, if you're cool with it, let me put a track on this because I want to just give everybody that first alert, especially if you are into northern Mississippi right now along Highway 72. If you're in Collierville, 542, I mean, this is pretty much on top of you in the matter of about 10 minutes in Collierville specifically. Piperton by about 545. An area like Sladen, this will be in the range of about, say, 6 o'clock this evening here when it will be impacting you as far as some of those really strong winds. Do want to go out just a little bit. Let me give you a little bit bigger of a track because now we do have those 2 warnings that are in place here. And I do think it is always important to give you guys those tracks so you can see where these are headed towards and who's going to get impacted by them. And pretty much on the left-hand side of your screen, the towns towns and the town/cities and times that are next to each other, those are when you're going to be impacted by the heavy rain and some 60-mile-per-hour winds. Collierville basically on you right now. Piperton at 539, Rossville at 545, Moscow at 555, Grand Junction anticipates 60-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rain and lightning at 613, Snow Lake Shores in northern portions of Mississippi at 622, and Ashland at 626. These continue to move to the southeast at about 40 miles per hour. Patrick, you got something?
I'm going to circle back over to this storm. You go over to Arkansas with the hail threat. So let's come back into the storm of note. Again, 2 different severe thunderstorm warnings. It's really for the same complex of storms. So when we put this into the velocity mode, the which way the winds are blowing mode, everything that is red or pink here is moving away from the radar site in Millington. So that's all moving out towards the east and southeast. As we've mentioned, about 40 miles per hour with the storm motion. Then on top of that, you've got the storm winds that are coming along with it. We were just talking about these 2 little blips here that I'm going to circle right here. That's where we could have some 60-plus mile-an-hour winds. And then right here as well in northeastern Shelby County. Those are both moving down towards the east-southeast. I think we're about to get a new scan coming in here. But at any rate, if you see that bright pink, that is some pretty strong winds here. And again, at least 60-mile-an-hour winds. And you
64.
said 64 over at the airport. From that perspective, that storm that was over the airport, which is right here, that is the 64-mile-an-hour wind gust. That's moving into southeastern Shelby County. Looks like we've got some issues with the radar. I think it's struggling right now.
Right.
But needless to say, that's the same areas that we're talking about here. That does not change. The impacts don't change, even though the colors may have changed on the radar.
Hey, Patrick, just worthwhile to note, too, even if you see the green and the red on your screen like that, we are not worried about tornadic activity with this.
Yes. By the way, yes, I understand. Good note there. Because, usually we look at green and reds together. Looking at tornado, no, this is straight line winds coming through here. Unfortunately, this is going to be a pretty rough go of things. I'm checking to see power outages.
A lot. 74,000?
Wow.
Wow.
There we go. There's the outage.
Appreciate
map.
that, Keegan. You're crushing it, man.
That one's not updated because, go ahead and refresh it because right now that says 45, but I just got the text message 70.
And the National Weather, somebody in the National Weather Service chat just said that too. There you go, 74,000. And if you notice too, it's kind of scattered all around the area too. Not so much to the north, but certainly down to the south, closer to the airport, and really all throughout, honestly, Memphis as a whole, or just Shelby County as a whole. And keep in mind, this storm still hasn't been through Germantown and Collierville as far as the furthest extent quite yet. All right, as far as what we have,
it usually takes about 15 minutes for it to repopulate.
I got you. That makes sense. Tipton County and also Crittenden County are seeing their issues when it comes to the power too. I don't want to forget about you guys that are over into Lee and into St. Francis counties because that storm looks like it is still producing some significant hail right now. Your first alert, if you are closer to Mariana, Morrow, and Forest City, and if you know anybody that is traveling right now on I-40, this is a pretty nasty storm that you're contending with. As far as some of the hail that could be with this, the hail detector, it's not picking anything up right now, but notice when we look at the hail tracker, so this is more over the past hour. Those areas that are darker purple and almost black, that's where there could be some significant hail falling. These storms continue to move off to the southeast at about 20 miles per hour. So let me give you just a quick track on that again. Mariana, it's knocking on your door as far as some of the heavy rain at least, extending it down to the southeast. Tunica, your first alert as you kind of move towards really about 6:30. This could be heading in your area. Mariana about 5:46, Rondo at 6:08, and Lexa at 6:26. Expect some heavy rain, some lightning, some strong winds, and the potential of some quarter-size hail as well. But that storm isn't moving very much. Further up to the northeast here into the heart of the Mid-South, over towards Shelby County and into Fayette County, Marshall and DeSoto counties. Your first alert as far as the storm track. If you haven't had to deal with these showers and storms quite yet or the strong winds, these are going to be on top of you before you know it in Marshall County especially. These are moving to the southeast at about 40 miles per hour. So if we keep that track going, Collierville, you're starting to get the leading edge of the heavier rain as well as the winds. Piperton at 5:38, Rossville 5:44, Snow Lake Shores at 6:19, and Ashland at 6:23. National Weather Service just noting that they are considering this mean severe thunderstorm warning with wind being the biggest threat out of this, not hail, which makes sense. I haven't heard any hail here at the station, and this really has been more of a wind threat than anything else. And yet again, the reason why we're on right now is because the airport in Memphis over at at Memphis International, it is the wind gusts there have been 60 and 64 mile per hour gusts that have been observed there, or at least unofficially observed there. So yes, there could be some variations within that, but overall this is a significant wind threat right now. And there's your first alert with the first alert precision tracker for some of the towns and cities that are into Marshall County, Benton County, as well as Fayette, and even further to the east here at Hardeman County, when you could be contending with these strong winds, the heavy rain and the lightning. Rossville 542, Moscow 551, Williston 552, Grand Junction at 609, Snow Lake Shores in about 45 minutes, and then Ashland at 624. So these storms, they're packing a punch, Patrick. No doubt about that.
No doubt about that. Well, let's go back over to the radar for this storm and go back over to the velocity mode. Now, I was just noting here as the radar was coming back around, there is definitely a big surge of wind that has popped up here within the last couple of minutes. They're in southeastern portions of Shelby County, heads up Piperton and heading out towards Collierville. That right there, you see this little brighter pink, even brighter than this. That may be indicative of 70-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised with that. Based off of what we know from the airport within the last couple of minutes, 64-mile-per-hour winds, that's probably 70-mile-per-hour winds. That's now moving south of 385. Zoom in a little bit closer. There you go. So again, let's see. That would be Winchester, Forest Hill, Irene, Hacks Cross. That area here, if you're south of 385, Hickory Hill, southeastern Shelby County, heading out past TPC Southwind, now moving out towards southern portions of Collierville, heading out towards Collierville High School. We're getting out here by Southwind High School as well. All of this area south of 385, even I would say if you're north of 385, near Forest Hill, Irene, by Hillier Road, that area probably getting just absolutely smacked right now with strong winds. I wish we had cameras to go down there, but I think all of them may have gone down within the last couple of minutes. There you go, Shelby Drive, Winchester, there's 385 right there, and moving out towards 269. Handy Corner, Olive Branch, and Casey would be next in line here. You see Casey as well as Byhalia, Tasca, Mount Pleasant. Heads up for you guys in the northern portions of Marshall County. It's moving in your direction here. Again, that warning goes until 6 o'clock this evening. The main one that we're watching that has the strongest winds now moving out here past Byhalia Road and moving out towards 302 and I-269. If you got, I see y'all moving around the cameras on TDOT. Those are MDOT cameras. Go over to 269 and 302, and
so you think kind of Olive Branch, Byhalia, that sort of area?
Yeah, it would be where your cursor is. Go up.
Where
it says Casey left of
Keegan, if you want, I'll give you a couple of tracks while
Casey.
Patrick's doing that right now. If you want to do a couple more tracks of these storms, because if you're in northern Marshall County, if you are into Benton County, if you're in southern Fayette County, these are knocking on your door. These are going to be an issue for you soon with some very strong winds. This is going to knock out power. I mean, we have we have over 74,000 customers within Shelby County without power, and that's before this whole entire cluster of showers and storms move through the area. Patrick, what you got on the MDOT cameras here?
That is going to be at 269 and 302, so just south of Goodman Road here. Jerry, I just saw what you said in the team's chat. How many power outages you want to say?
97,000 customers without power, MLGW.
I hadn't heard that in about 3 years.
Yeah.
Since the storms that we had in 2023, where power outages was that high in Shelby County. There's your outage map, 97,000.
And look, if you look towards the southeast portion of the county, those haven't really updated yet because the storms are moving through there right now. We're going to climb over 100,000 here very shortly if we're not there.
More than likely, 22% of the MLGW customer base out of power right now. In Shelby County. This is why we broke on to programming. We saw this issue flaring up. We gave you a first alert that the storms were coming out of Arkansas into Tennessee, and unfortunately that's the case here. Let's go back over to that camera at 302 and I think it's Dogwood and 269 actually. There you go.
That's frozen.
That's frozen. Okay.
So that could have been knocked out from the wind.
Yeah, more than likely.
All right, hey Patrick, let me throw another track on this. If you're cool with it. Cool. All right, so let me. I want to talk about who's coming down the pipeline with this as far as these strong winds, because we're talking about Shelby County, probably at least approaching and likely exceeding 100,000 customers without power right now. If you're in southern Fayette County, if you're in northern Marshall County, if you're in northern Benton County, if you're near Slade and Rossville, some of these areas that quite frankly got tattooed by tornadoes going back here about a year and a half ago, make sure your devices are powered up. Get ready for some strong winds. This is going to be pretty nasty. It's about to move through your area, and especially to some of these winds. They're coming off. The weather right now, if you haven't been hit by these storms, it's been hot, it's been humid. It hasn't been crazy windy out there. With these storms running into some you're going to see the winds ramp up very quickly, and that's where you see your damage occur here. So Rossville, I've talked about you guys a few times. Your time is starting to run up here as far as dealing with the quiet weather. The winds are going to be picking up the heavy rain, the lightning in the next 5 minutes. Byhalia 5:53, Moscow 5:56, Grand Junction at 6:14, Snow Lake Shores at 6:24, and Ashland at 6:26. A little bit further up to the north right now. Don't want to forget about all y'all in the central portion of Fayette County. Same idea with the winds here. They're going to be ramping up very soon. And including really the majority of Fayette County here and starting to scoot it on into Hardeman County. Oakland at 5:45, Williston 5:59, Moscow at 6 o'clock, and Grand Junction at about 6:19. The last one I do want to talk about here when it comes to storm tracks is still back over into Lee and St. Francis counties. A new severe thunderstorm warning was just issued here. National Weather Service saying that this is warned for the potential of, let's see, quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds still, and this is now until 6:30. So the activity with this one here is still picking up. Let me put a track on this. This is still moving to the east at about 50 miles per hour. Your first alert, if you know anybody trying to get lucky over in Tunica, this is going to be on top of them at about 6:30 this evening here. Mariana at 5:50, and that will continue to race itself off to the east here, although it's not moving itself to the east quite as quickly as some of those areas to the east into Shelby County. But Helena, West Helena, you're about to see some pretty hefty storms moving on in as well. The leading edge of this, that is going to be trying to approach, I think, I-55 towards Senatobia at about 7 o'clock this evening here. So, Patrick, these storms, they're packing quite a punch. Once I saw earlier today that we had a temperature of about 98 degrees here in Memphis, I said, man, we're about to see some stuff flare up today, and this is some nasty weather.
You know, we talked about that stalled frontal boundary being on top of us for a couple of days. We're on the edge of the ridge of high pressure, and that is unfortunately a horrible place to be, especially this time of the year, because you end up with these little small-scale disturbances. I talked about that Friday, where we had these small-scale disturbances coming down the pipeline, and occasionally it's going to run into this heat and humidity, and this is what happens when you have that happen. Let's take that camera, 240 in Mount Moriah. You got some folks underneath the overpass there, off on the right-hand side, if you could take that one. I think that's where that's at. Okay, that's okay, so take that one. So this is going to be at 269 at Deer Creek Road. Got some folks underneath the overpass there. You can see off in the distance where it says MDOT just past there. That is the heavy rainfall and probably the wind that's coming along with it. This is a little farther south of where we were looking a couple of minutes ago. But needless to say, you know, this is what's heading into DeSoto County now, and Marshall County. You're hot on the heels of it too. Let's zoom back in here, and Eric, if you could.
Yeah.
Over there, get a 3D slice of that severe storm over in Lee County, and we'll go from there. Collierville, it's on top of you, and of course the strong winds now pushing out into Fayette County, northern portions of Marshall County as well. So we're keeping you guys abreast of the changes. I will say, if you're in Millington, if you're in downtown Memphis, Boxtown, Whitehaven, those areas, South Memphis, Riverside, moving through Midtown even, the severe weather potential for this particular storm has come to an end, okay? So we can give you an all clear on that one. I would say also, if you're in, give it like 2 more minutes for Bartlett. If you're in Raleigh and Fraser, Millington, like I said, up towards Rosemark, give you the all clear as well. Lakeland and Arlington, I'll give you guys an all clear probably in the next couple of minutes. But Collierville, absolutely not. You need to stay inside on that one. Piperton, moving right down 72, and that's going to go right out towards Sladen, heading out towards Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant's where 302 and 72 meet. There's a gas station right past there. I think it's Shell gas station going past there. And then moving out towards the roundabout at Highway 7, probably within the next, say, 15, 20 minutes or so. So again, Sladen, Early Grove, those areas, you know, me and Eric talk about those areas a lot, you know, because, you know, we think back to everything that we talk about is talking back to the April tornadoes of 2025, and that area just got absolutely raked. You're about to get a pretty strong storm with some strong winds moving in your direction as well. Southern portions of Fayette County, we're talking out towards LaGrange, and eventually, if it holds together, Hardeman County, heads up to you guys as well, because that would be moving in your direction too. And there are a couple storms near Hickory Valley coming up out of Grand Junction, heading up towards Whiteville and Bolivar, but those are not the severe storms. Those severe storms are right along 269 right now, about to exit Shelby County. DeSoto County, South Haven, Walls, over towards Horn Lake, down to Hernando. We can give you the all clear on these storms, okay? They're going to pass you, but Olive Branch got hit by the storm, moving out towards 269 and out towards Goodman Road, Mississippi Highway 302 there. That's where the strongest of the storms are currently located at. It's weird to hear just like eerie calm outside right now, because it was so loud inside the building as the heaviest of the rain was coming in here in the last little bit. But, you know, if you're in Collierville, if you're in Germantown, if you're in eastern portions of Shelby County, western Fayette County, it is not a good go of things right now. Stay indoors with this storm. Jerry, you got an update on those power outages?
We got to be over 100 by now.
Yes, 111,000 outages. We're also checking with MPD and SCSO for injuries and for any damage reports right now. Okay. Hopefully there are no injuries.
Yeah. Yes, hopefully. 111,000?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's going to be, I hate to say that, that's going to be in the top 5.
So let me, do you know as far as customers, how many that there are within the entirety of Shelby County?
420-something thousand, I think.
You said 420? So we're looking in the range of over a quarter of people that get MLGW power, that they're without power, just about that, I guess.
Or just over that, yeah.
Because that's still at 97,000 right now, and that's saying 22%. So if we're at 111 now, yeah, we have to be over a quarter of people within Shelby that don't have power. That's big.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that would be a top 5 outage.
Yeah. And so Patrick, you know your history with this sort of stuff, so I believe you that you're right about that.
It'd be close, and MLGW can say, tell us, you know, if we're right on that or not. But
yeah, and obviously we'll figure that out obviously down the line.
Yes, but I think 111,000. I think that's pretty high. It's at least I know it's in the top 10, but it may be top 5, close to it at least.
That's significant.
Yes.
As far as what we have still going on with the timing with this, I did just get. I was talking to the producer in the back, Darion. Do want to give a tip of the cap to him as well as Keegan and Sergio in the back. They've been doing a great job with this. But as far as we're going to try to get a live shot here from Garner Montgomery. He was supposed to be in Oakland for a different story, but obviously the weather's become a significant thing right now. By Haley at 5:49, and really about now, these showers and storms, the strong winds, they're going to be on top of you very shortly. Moscow at 5:58, Williston at 6 o'clock, Grand Junction at 6:15, Snow Lake Shores at 6:21, Ashland at 6:25, Faulkner at 6:42, and Middleton, Tennessee at 6:43. When these come through, it's going to take about an hour for these to swing. Well, even less than that. Say half hour to 45 minutes for the worst of this to move through. But during that time, there's a very good chance that you are going to lose power out of this and that you're going to be without it potentially for a little bit here. So your first alert, if you are northern Benton, northern Tippah, northeastern Marshall, southern Fayette, southern portions of Hardeman County, have your electronics charged here because there's at least a possibility that you are going to lose power. And you want to make sure you have the ability to watch us here at Action News 5 when it comes to the severe weather coverage between meteorologist Patrick Ellis, myself. We got Jerry Askin out here, and Garner Montgomery. He's going to be, I think, over here in Oakland soon enough. They just got I'll call it an advisory here as far as the storm goes over into the area of McNairy County over towards Selmer. Haven't talked about you guys very much because, quite frankly, it's been pretty quiet over there to this point. This storm, it is trying to move itself to the southeast at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. It is a pretty tall storm, and it's likely going to flare up and become a bit stronger here over the next little bit. There is going to be heavy rain and some small hail embedded, and also some stronger winds. Selmer, you're seeing rain right now, but the worst of this is going to be on top of you here in about 25 minutes. And I still don't want to forget about the one cluster of storms that is into Lee and St. Francis counties here. That looks like it's starting to bow it. Well, it's starting to bow itself out per se, and it's trying to become a little bit weaker in the areas that have been tattooed by this over the past hour or so. Let me put a track on this quick so we could see where this is headed towards yet again. This is moving itself to the east, but it's trying to grow itself to the north here. So it's kind of an interesting shape to it. But West Helena at 5:53, Lula at 6:32, Tunica at 6:32 as well, and then Hughes, Arkansas at 6:38 here. So some pretty nasty weather conditions right now, even into Lee and St. Francis counties. Marshall County, tree on a residential home, and there's possible entrapment going on right now at 375 Mitten Road. This is in Marshall County. So I don't know exactly off the the top of my head 100% where that is. I'm going to very strongly assume it's on the northern side of the county, though.
I'm just looking at that storm that's coming out of into Marshall County now. You know, we were talking about this right before the storm came across the river. It seemed like it was trying to weaken.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it came across the river, I don't know what it was, but the storm just absolutely blew up as soon as it came across the river.
So much for the bluff.
Yeah, the bluff didn't save us today. I say that much. 118,000 now, at least. Power outages.
And Patrick, look at look at what you have with the radar there.
Yeah, this is coming across.
That's bright.
Yeah, this is 269 right here, 72. All right, let's take the outage map. There you go. That's 118,000, 27% of the MLGW customers without power right now.
And that number is still climbing.
Yes, it's got to be. I just got a text from a friend in Germantown. He said that he's got no power. Just tried to text y'all's nephew and figure out if we got power at the house too, but I would assume probably not. It seems like there is a lot of folks that are going to be without power here this evening across the Mid-South. This is going to take a while to get back on. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Let's just be transparent. It's going to take a while for this power to come back on, so be patient, please, with this unfortunate situation here on a Saturday afternoon. Again, you've got very strong winds that are blowing out right now, again, coming out of portions of DeSoto County and into Marshall County. Right there at 70-plus mile-an-hour winds, more than likely, coming across portions of Byhalia, Casey, moving down 269, moving past 269 out along U.S. Highway 72. 302 runs back over and cuts in right there, the interchange over there east of Casey. And then moving out towards the east, moving out closer to Early Grove and Sladen here very soon. I'm thinking like Byer Elementary. You start heading out towards Early Grove and Sladen, that area, Sladen Baptist Church. We start getting out closer to the Benton County line, Highway 7 roundabout, that area. That would be probably the next big interchange that would be involved. That sits right here. So again, if you're in this area, please, by all means, take this very seriously. If I'm not mistaken, this might be, we are definitely in a considerable situation. That's what we're saying on the air with you because of these 60-plus mile-an-hour winds.
Hey, Patrick, look at what my storm winds are picking up. I know this is a little higher in the sky. This is saying 97-mile-per-hour winds.
Take
101 now?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's 1 pixel, but that area right there might have well over 70-mile-an-hour winds.
This is saying consistently 80-plus pretty much throughout it here. This is, man, I'll tell you, so this is looking at about 1,900 feet into the sky here, as far as what the radar beam's looking at.
Shave off about 10%. That's 75 miles an hour.
And Patrick, even if that is nasty.
It's probably about 75 mile an hour winds that are actually hitting the ground. If it is anywhere close to 100, though, my goodness. It doesn't have to be a tornado warning for it to cause damage, and more than likely a severe thunderstorm is going to have more damage path than anything else, and unfortunately that's the case here today. There you go. Again, there's where Eric was looking at right there. That bright yellow inside the pink, that is where we could see over 100-mile-per-hour winds. I don't think that it's 100. It could not. It could, but more than likely you're going to shave off a little bit because that's looking at about 2,000 feet above the ground. So at 2,000 feet, it's 100 miles an hour. But probably down to the ground, you shave it off a little bit and you end up closer to like 70, 75.
Hey, for what it's worth, so we were talking about Garner Montgomery, that he was over in Oakland, and this was going to be for a non-weather related story. And I do believe that we do have him up and running over in Oakland right now. And I will say at the worst of this storm, it is to the south of Oakland. But if we can go over to Garner Montgomery, kind of tell us what you have going on over there in Oakland right now. It looks pretty nasty, pretty wet over there, man.
Yeah, like you said, we were here for a different story. A bomb threat is just down the road. That's what we were here planning to cover for our 6 o'clock show. But of course, I just got to show you what we're seeing out here in Oakland. We saw some really strong winds come through here, maybe about 540-ish. And we got a little break from that until it started pouring. Lightning started coming down. About to the west of us, there was a lightning strike about 500 yards out. We saw some to the south of us, too. You can see there's still lightning strikes. It's still an active thunderstorm out here. You can imagine those people affected by the bomb threat are going to be in for worse evening now that they're coming back to their homes. So I'll keep you updated on that story. But again, it's very nasty out here. We'll keep you an idea of what it's looking like here on the ground while we're here. We're safe under West Junior High School. Shout out to school for being a safe place for us to stay while we are here in this extreme weather event.
Yeah, Garner, and of course that storm that is over top of you, still severe, but the worst of it down to your south right now. Stay safe out there. We'll come back to you in a couple of minutes. This is a rarity that we don't get very often here in the Mid-South. We're going to have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be downstream of this one, a destructive tag that will immediately turn on the wireless emergency alerts, the things that blare. That's going to come out here very shortly, and it's probably going to include Marshall County, Benton County, southern portions of Fayette County because of over 80-mile-per-hour winds likely with that storm that is now moving towards Early Grove and Sladen. Please, by all means, take this a precaution as if it was a tornado. Get into your center portion of your home, away from windows and doors. This is a serious situation. Again, I can only name maybe 2 since I've been here destructive severe thunderstorm warnings, and they were from June of 2023. Guess what? We had over 100,000 homes and businesses without power just in the MLGW system. So I want to give everybody a heads up and a first alert of where this is going. I know we tracked this out a couple of minutes ago. Let me get the clicker out, and we'll kind of zoom back down here because this is where the storm is at its worst right now, northern Marshall County. And we're going to stay with you through the entirety of that warning, by the way.
Without a question.
We're not going to hop off the air on this one because that is an extremely dangerous situation that is ongoing right now. So let's put a storm track on this. Is it still moving at about 40 miles an hour?
I will double check on that, but I'd imagine it has to be.
Okay.
Yeah. They haven't come out with that actual warning yet. I'm waiting on that.
Okay, but more than likely, they're probably going to issue it because this one comes up to 6. So they're going to downstream this. This would be eastern Marshall, northern portions of Benton County, and probably would include portions of Tippah County as well. This is probably the worst of it all right now. Possibly over 80-mile-per-hour winds coming down Highway 72. This is north of Holly Springs, but if you have a Holly Springs address, you live a little farther north, closer to the National Forest, please take this seriously. This is a dangerous situation that is currently unfolding in northern portions of Marshall County, now about to move into portions of Benton County. I'm going to put a storm track on just this portion of the storm.
It might be going a tick quicker than 40. I might put it closer to 50, but I mean, go with your track right now. There you go.
All right, there's your new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll come over to that here in a second. And actually, with that being said, can you read that off to me?
What's that, the warning?
Well, not the warning, the speed on the warning.
The speed on the warning that they issued it is 45.
It's 45. Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I wanted to get
and folks, right. Well, I'm letting Patrick this week collect his thoughts and put the track on there.
Yeah, there we go.
This has a forward speed of 45-mile-per-hour winds, but the winds embedded within this storm are 80 miles per hour. Patrick, what's your track on that?
There you go. Holly Springs, time to get to your safe place right now. Get to your safe place. If you live north of Holly Springs, in the city of Holly Springs as well. Safe place now. Early Grove, Sladen, I cannot stress this enough. You've got to take this as a tornado precaution at this point. This is going to be, what, I don't know, 7-8 miles of a damaging wind threat, north-south.
It's physically a big area, too. It's not confined.
A tornado is a couple hundred yards wide.
Right.
This is several miles wide. This is why we say when we talk about severe thunderstorms and straight-line winds, situations like this can be just as damaging, if not more, because of how big it is. Snow Lake Shores, heads up, 612, Ashland, 616, Gravestown, about 626. Go ahead, Eric.
No, you're good. Keep going with those.
Okay. So, again, please take this precaution immediately. I want to go over, and I might have to send this out again. There is a Holly Springs Utility District outage map, but I might have to send it out again because.
Well, and think about it too, Patrick. Obviously,
we'll have to keep a check of that too.
This is going through Holly Springs right now. It's going to take a little bit for those numbers to ramp up.
Yes.
I do want to note too that there is a nasty thunderstorm that's near Helena, West Helena right now, and it has the potential of it has a little bit of spin to it too. So I know this isn't necessarily a tornadic threat as far as what you're dealing with in Shelby, Marshall, and Fayette counties, but I do want to just note that out loud here. Patrick, keep going with what you got, man.
All right, so let's go back over here and kind of reset. I want to go back over to the big picture. I know we've been very honed in for the last little bit. Dyersburg, you're out of the severe thunderstorm watch, and you do not have any active weather. So I don't want you to think that we're missing you. We are keeping an eye on the entirety of this. I know that this is the storm, though, of note that we need to be focused in on. Blytheville, Alamo, Ripley, Tennessee. Not Ripley, Mississippi. Ripley, Mississippi, you just went underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. That is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. 80+ mile-per-hour winds possible with that one. Again, if you are north of I-40, we can give you the all clear on this storm, okay? I say if you're in Shelby County, we can give you the all clear as well. I don't think we're going to be dealing with very much of anything severe in Shelby County. We still have an active warning. It's a very small section of Shelby County. But again, you see the worst of the weather is down farther to the south. The storm that Eric was talking about over in eastern Arkansas, it's kind of losing its luster a little bit. Still, this is more of a hail threat along Highway 1, Arkansas Highway 1 from Forest City down to Mariana. And a new severe thunderstorm that just came out within the last couple minutes. Helena, West Helena, that's going to come across over by the Isle of Caprice Casino, U.S. Highway 49, and then over across Highway 61. This includes Tunica County as well as Cahoma County back over into Lee and Phillips County, Arkansas for that severe thunderstorm. I do want to put that into velocity mode, the which way the winds are blowing mode, because remember, he mentioned that there was a little bit of spin back there in the backside of that storm. And there are two areas that we'll watch out for. Just south of the bridge at Highway 49 coming across the Mississippi River right there. That may be just storm wind, just winds flowing into the storm, and it looks like it's close. I think what he was mentioning was back here. I don't think that that's actually a tornado. That may be very strong winds that are blowing in behind the storm, actually, and may bow this out and push the winds even stronger heading into Mississippi here in the next little bit. So we're going to watch that storm too and come back to it here in a second. I want to zoom back out. We'll go back over to the how hard it's raining mode and go back into the wider perspective, because I want everybody to know we are keeping an eye on things. There is no more active severe weather in Shelby County, okay? So the severe storm that was in play for Shelby County has been allowed to expire. This is the wind bag, if you will, that's coming through northern Marshall County. And unfortunately, go over to the velocity mode, again, which way the winds are blowing mode. And that's messy. We'll have to wait for another scan to come around. But I will say that that's probably going to come back about 80+ miles an hour, if not more. And right now it's going right across Holly Springs, Snow Lake Shores, Ashland, Potts Camp, Hickory Flat. Like you were going to take a tornado precaution at this point. Take that and please get inside of an interior room away from windows, because I have a sneaking suspicion that this is putting down not just wind, but torrential rainfall. And then on top of that, it is a very large section of Marshall County now that's going to be involved with that. I would say that's probably, 10, 15 miles north-south?
Probably.
That's what we're saying. It's like, straight line wind events like this can be much, much larger than just a small scale tornado. Yeah. And, you're going to get winds of like a EF1 tornado out of this, but it's going to be in a larger perspective.
Right. If we were to turn around and say, hey, there's a EF1 tornado moving through Marshall County right now, and oh yeah, it's 10 miles wide, clearly that would get your attention.
Yes.
And quite frankly, that's the way that we want you to interpret this as. This isn't to scare you. Trust me, I know my guy PSE. We are trying to keep you ahead of the storms. We're trying to keep you safe out of this, man.
My middle name is an S.
I hear you. But seriously though, if you are in Benton County, you got to prepare as if you're about to get hit by an EF1 tornado that's literally 10 miles wide, because physically that is how much space this is taking up right now.
Okay. Let's go ahead and come back over to the storm track. Potts Camp, Hickory Flat, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. It's basically on top of you within the next 5 minutes. Go ahead and take that time now. Get to your safe place. As we mentioned, Snow Lake Shores and Ashland as well. Safe place now. Interior room, away from windows, lowest floor of your home. Blue Mountain. We're talking Blue Mountain College as well. Over into Tippah County. Ripley, Mississippi. Again, Ripley, Mississippi, under the gun of this severe thunderstorm warning. Ripley, Tennessee, you're fine. If you're in Lauderdale County, you're fine. But if you're in Tippah County, Mississippi, yes, you need to be taking the precautions. You're down the road a little bit, but 6:30 will come up on you very quickly. Time right now, 6:04. You're watching continuous severe weather coverage with myself, First Alert Meteorologist Patrick Ellis, First Alert Meteorologist Eric Brill, Jerry Askins in the building as well. We've got Garner Montgomery. He's in Fayette County right now doing a completely different story, but unfortunately getting caught up in the storm activity here. Jerry, I want to come over to you really quickly and just get a quick check of the overview of what's going on from the perspective of if there's any damage reports coming in from Shelby County within the last little bit, and also the MLGW numbers.
Yep, last check, we were checking the MLGW outage map. 126,000 customers now without power, so 29.46 customers without power. Again, 126,000 customers without power. We are hearing reports of downed trees, possibly in Fraser. We're also hearing reports of a pole down, MLGW pole down at Highway 70. So of course, yep, so there is the outage map you see right there. Again, we're talking 126,000 customers without power for MLGW.
Hey, Patrick, if you have the graphic on hand, the severe thunderstorm watch, I think they took off a couple more
Yeah,
counties.
they took off a couple of counties here.
So let's see, just out of the severe thunderstorm watch now, Chester, Crockett, Haywood, Lauderdale, Madison, Mississippi, Poinsett, Tipton counties. So generally north of I-40 right now. Dyer County are out of this, so at least we're starting to trim some counties out of this. With that said, though, we still have some pretty nasty storms here across the Mid-South. Let me give you kind of the wide view of things here, and we're going to put some tracks on these, okay? So this is what it looks like throughout the entire Mid-South, and I'm going to circle a relatively large area. Pretty much if you're within this blue circled area, and obviously if you're north of that or east of that or northwest of that, you don't have to worry about the severe weather really anymore. But if you are into Marshall County, if you're in Benton County, and honestly, we got to start talking, I think, two more places to really talk about here, and there's a bunch of places, quite frankly. The storm that's starting to get closer to Tunica right now, this is packing a bit of a punch. We do even have a shear marker that's on here.
When you walked out a couple seconds ago, I went back into that storm. And that's behind the storm, but what I think that is maybe a rear inflow jet that's coming.
Okay.
That basically, descending air on the backside of the thunderstorms coming down. It's colder and drier. It's descending on the backside of the storm and causing wind issues. It's more straight line wind than anything else that's involved in that storm. So I do want to point that out. Yeah, you see the shear marker there, but it's not in a place that it would make sense for it to be.
Yeah.
It's in the backside of the storm. So that would make sense for me. It's a rear inflow jet. So again, upper levels of the atmosphere, there's wind that's hitting the backside of the storm, coming and descending behind it, and that's pushing out strong straight line winds behind the storm on top of the winds that are coming on the front side of the storm.
Hey, Patrick, do you think, this is going to be a hyperbole. Is this an exaggeration to say that this is kind of, I'd say a Hurricane Elvis, a few years later?
Let's hope.
I know that's a stretch, but as far as the quantity of power outages, the wind speeds on this, man?
We had way over 300,000 without power.
It was that many even with Elvis. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the number one on MLGW's list for power outages. I do not believe that this hit, but this definitely rivals.
This is in the 150 range, I bet, by the end of it.
This rivals the storms from 2023, though, and we had people during that time frame. I think some folks were out of power for a week or so.
Okay.
So that's why I said earlier, please be patient. Your linemen are out there. They're gonna kill it. Okay, they're gonna do a great job. It's going to take some time, though, okay? So just be patient with them and all of the different utilities, not just MLGW. We're keeping an eye on Entergy. We're keeping an eye on Holly Springs Utility, Southwest Tennessee, EPA, as well as North Central. That seems to be the highlight points right now. But again, there's your severe thunderstorm watch. The counties that are no longer in that, Pemiscot County, Lake and Obion, Dunklin County, Poinsett County, Craighead County, as well as Mississippi, Tipton, Lauderdale, Haywood and Crockett counties, Gibson County, as well as Madison County, out of the severe thunderstorm warning, Chester County as well. Farther down to the south, basically from I-40 southward, still underneath that severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock this evening. I do believe that these storms will exit these areas before 10 o'clock. So do not worry that it's going to be until 10 o'clock this evening that you're going to be underneath the severe thunderstorm watch. I think here in Shelby County, give it an hour or so. We'll probably drop off some more counties of the watch as it continues to work down to the south. But this storm right here continues to be the one of note. My goodness, we're talking about this particular storm that's coming out of Marshall County. Again, Benton County, please take this as if it was a tornado. Okay, a small tornado from a perspective of wind. We're not talking about a EF5 tornado or anything, but we're talking about at least winds of an EF0 or EF1, most definitely. But unfortunately, it's over a period and a span of several miles that we're talking about here. So remember, tornado is very small in comparison to what you're going to see here on the velocity mode. This is the which way the winds are blowing mode here. and they're truncating that warning just a little bit. They're updating it. Right on top of Holly Springs, Snow Lake Shores, Ashland. Can't emphasize this enough. This is going to cross over Mississippi Highway 7 here shortly. It's already crossed over Mississippi Highway 4, I-22, Mississippi Highway 178. Please, again, if you hear some of these roads here, this is the issue of note here. These storms are pushing out these winds out of the core of that storm, and it is not great. These pockets here of yellow, that's where we could see over 100-mile-per-hour winds. But again, we're looking at this at this point, what, 2,200 feet away from the radar up in the sky?
25 to 3,000.
So that's looking at an elevation. It's not what's actually happening at the surface. But if you shave it off to what it could be at the surface, it ain't good.
No.
That's why we're saying please take this as if it is a tornado that is moving through this area here this afternoon. This is an extremely dangerous situation. We don't say that lightly here. And, you've heard me be on television, Eric as well. We've gone through some extremely dangerous situations together. And unfortunately, this is one of those here this afternoon and this evening. Time right now, 6:11. For those who are joining us all across the Mid-South, thank you for trusting us today to keep you updated on these storms. But this is a dangerous situation that is unfolding here across parts of the Mid-South this afternoon, Eric. And unfortunately, we're probably gonna have more conversations with Jerry when he comes back in here about damage reports coming in because I have a sneaking suspicion there's no way that some of these counties are not going to have damage.
I'm worried about what Marshall County is going through.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, the thing that sucks the most too is that this is an area that got hit really bad by the tornado here about 18 months ago. That sucks.
So
That sucks.
again, this area is very well known on from the perspective of severe weather. You know how to handle it. Please take those extra precautions here.
Yeah.
Okay. Usually when we talk about severe thunderstorm warnings, they can be flippant and you just kind of out of sight, out of mind type of situation. This one is the real deal, okay? This is not one to be playing lightly with. This is a real deal situation. It was a real deal when it even came through Memphis and Shelby County. We found out 60, 70 mile an hour winds, unfortunately, involved in that storm as it came through the county. And I wouldn't be surprised. We're probably getting to a point to where we're already peaked out on the numbers.
We hope, obviously.
We're probably close to peaking out on the numbers. There might be more that come and kind of trickle in, but this particular storm is nothing to play with here this afternoon and this evening. Again, we'll put a storm track on it. Take it out about an hour. There you go. Oh, well, there we go. Take it out about an hour. Potts Camp, Hickory Flat, Blue Mountain College as well, Ripley, Mississippi, Baldwin, Boonville. All these areas start getting out towards the far eastern extent of the Action News 5 coverage area. Not to say anything is going on in Selmer, but I just wanted to let you know that's just a good thunderstorm that's coming over Selmer right now, but nothing severe with that one.
I'm surprised it's not severe, I'll be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's got a hail core within it.
Okay.
How much of that's actually coming down to the surface of the earth, I'm not sure, but on the east side of Selmer.
I see it just east of Selmer.
Yeah.
Just east of downtown Selmer.
Kind of between Selmer and Adamsville, really.
Yeah.
That area right over there. That looks like it's got a bit of a hail core to it right now.
Yeah,
and when I say a hail core, I mean just hail literally in the sky right now, and it's coming down to the surface of the earth. And it might, by the time it reaches the surface of the earth, melt itself out. And it's not really anything, but I wouldn't be surprised really along 64 there between Selmer and Adamsville right now if we're dealing with at least some hail being around there just to the east of downtown Selmer.
Yeah, I'm not concerned necessarily of the wind with that one, but
right.
yeah, I see what you're saying there. Definitely some hail potential there in eastern portions of Selmer into McNairy County, but we're currently not severe on that warning. Yeah, I see it there.
Yeah, I bet there's a little bit of a hail core in there.
Just so you know, I know it says debris tracker. We can also look inside the storm and see if there's something that's different than just rain falling, and that's what Eric's looking at. That's probably hail that's falling up there. That would be crossing over 64 just east of Selmer, heading out towards Savannah here in the next couple of minutes in the Crump area out closer to the Tennessee River. So again, the warning and the storm of note remains the one in eastern Marshall County, now beginning to move into Benton County, Mississippi. This will be out of the Action News 5 coverage area in the next hour. Hopefully, it will start to calm down by then. And hopefully, we don't have a huge swath of wind basically from the river all the way to the state line. But right now, that storm does not look like it wants to give up. I mean, it is holding on to every little bit of wind, and it's pushing it out in front of it. Maybe not as strong, but it's definitely severe. It's bad. That's still denoting at least 80-mile-per-hour winds potentially inside that storm as it's now moving into Marshall County, moving out of Marshall County into Benton County.
I mean, it's still warned for 80 mile per. It's still got the destructive tag on it as far as 80 mile per hour winds.
I doubt that they would drop that.
Right. There's no point at this rate. And I mean, I will. So if you really want to kind of cherry pick some of the fine pixels and some of the fine winds that you see with the wind and speed that Patrick has here, that I could pull up with a First Alert precision tracker, you could have winds that are strong that are within here, but they're a little bit higher in the sky. So that's why when Patrick and I are talking about, if I pull this up if you want me to, I wouldn't say scary, that's not the right word, but if you really want me to show you some real bad things per se, I could cherry pick this and it shows you some winds that are 140, 130 miles per hour, but this is looking higher up in the sky. And obviously, if I turn around and said to you, hey, there's 140 mile per hour winds right now, that would certainly gain your attention. And in reality, this is what the winds are, likely at about 25 to 3,000 feet in the sky. And that is it's a somewhat high distance, but the winds that are this strong at this height, you usually end up knocking off about 10 to even 20% of those. If you knock off 20% of a 130 mile per hour wind, that's still over 100 miles per hour as far as that wind's concerned here. So that's why that's why this is really just a very serious situation going on right now. I do want to give you a first alert and kind of track some of these winds out here, because there are still other parts of the Mid-South that still are going to be contending with this here over the next hour or so. And these continue to move off to the southeast, to the east-southeast at about 40 miles per hour. So Snow Lake Shores, you've been in it for a little bit, and the worst of it's on you right now. Potts Camp 623, Ashland at 625. Expect some very strong winds, heavy rain and lightning. Hickory Flat just after 6:30. Myrtle, Mississippi at 6:42. Blue Mountain, I've heard Patrick refer to that before, at 6:43. Ripley, Mississippi at 6:47. So you have a half hour if you are in Ripley, Mississippi, to get into your safe place right now. Make sure all of your different mobile devices are charged. Look at the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. Dumas at 6:59, and then Jumpertown at 7:09. Do you want to go back and talk about that one storm that is over into Arkansas as well? Now it's scooted itself into Tunica and Coahoma counties. This is another storm that is severe warning. It could have some pretty heavy hail within it as well. Along Highway 49, not too far away from Lula right now, there's another area that's probably seeing some pretty hefty hail right now. Let me turn around and see what we have with some of the information in this. This is indicating some ping pong ball size hail that could be occurring right now. Pretty much near where Phillips, Coahoma, and Tunica counties all intersect each other. So not a great situation there. Fortunately, the wind's not as big of a threat here. Let me see, when it comes to the storm winds, this isn't really indicating some crazy strong winds, quote unquote typical sort of winds when it does come to a thunderstorm, roughly about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So the hail's certainly the bigger threat right now if you are in Tunica, Coahoma, or Phillips counties. Going back out to the wide view of things, in Shelby County, the activity has simmered down significantly right now. I do want to turn on the county power outage. Oh man, I've never seen that red here before. And I mean, it makes sense. So this is, as you alluded to, Patrick, this is now the most outages that have occurred in Shelby County. I had my producer, Darion, report this. It's at 131,000 customers without power in Shelby County right now. That is the most since July of 2023, when there were 216. So obviously we're hoping not to get to that level here, but that is still a significant number as far as 131,000 customers, or 30% basically of the county that does not have power. Worthwhile to note, Collierville High School is supposed to have a game tonight. I believe it was against East Nashville, and I was actually supposed to go out to that game to get a little bit of video for Matt Infield, but clearly not doing that now. That game is delayed, so I think plans on still having that here, but there's a significant quantity of customers without power.
Yeah.
DeSoto County, I have 5,500 customers without power right now. That's what I'm looking at here. Marshall County, 1,000. Over to Fayette County, 1,000. Tipton County, 1,000, and just a bunch of 1,000 customers without power right now. So, Patrick, we have, let's see, over a half dozen counties right now in the viewing area that have at least 1,000 customers without power. But the winds still are very, very strong and pretty nasty, moving through Marshall, Benton, and Tippah counties. Your first alert, if you know anybody in Union County, give them a first alert right now in New Albany. They are going to encounter some very strong winds rather shortly, too.
Yeah, the outflow boundary from that storm is actually moving across Sardis Lake right now towards the southern tip of it, moving into Panola County right now. And
interesting.
It's interesting because it's about to connect. I think it might be connecting with that storm that's coming out of Coahoma and Tunica. There we go, new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to include Quitman County, Panola County, within the last couple of seconds. That literally just came up there. So let's I'll let Eric kind of get that one. Actually, I just realized that I took it out of
I got you.
But I will say this. I'm looking at the Holly Springs Utility District. Right now, that 1,000, I think, is from Entergy on Marshall County, an additional 300 on top of that, and I wouldn't be surprised if more is going to come from Marshall County.
Copy. So what you see behind me right now, this is the new severe thunderstorm warning that does include portions of Panola as well as Coahoma and Quitman counties, and even the far southern edge of Tunica County as well. I believe that is warned for the potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds and a 1-inch in diameter size hail. This is scooting itself to the east now at about 40 miles per hour. So Patrick, just kind of a mental note for yourself. I believe all these have a forward speed, or they're moving rather, at 40 miles per hour. So that's at least, if there's one silver lining with all this, at least they're all moving at the same speed, so we don't have to kind of, eyeball different things here.
Yeah.
Jonestown, 627. This is going to be on top of you. Falcon at 631, Sledge 636. Marks, Mississippi at 643. Batesville, Mississippi, right along I-55 at 701. Cortland also along 55 at 702, and then Pope at 704. Anticipate 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch diameter size hail. Do still want to go back to obviously the big storm that is still mowing itself through Benton, Marshall, and Tippah counties with some very strong winds. Let me turn around and give you another storm track on that here as this is still moving itself to the southeast at 40 miles per hour. Patrick, I do want to actually note, though, the National Weather Service, instead of saying that this has 80-mile-per-hour winds, they now have it at 70-mile-per-hour winds.
Okay.
So it's still a nasty, nasty storm.
Well, that's what it was when it came through Shelby County.
Hello.
Where we are. So,
yeah.
So just so you know, they come off of the destructive tag. It's now, quote-unquote, considerable. It doesn't matter. It's destructive because if it comes through your house and it blows down a tree, it's destructive. So you get the idea here, folks. Please take these precautions. We don't want to don't take this lightly here.
Damage in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, damage in Mount Pleasant,
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Okay. Jerry, I'm going to come over to you because I know you're working the dials over there with folks and seeing if we've got some more damage reports coming in from Shelby County.
Yeah, we are checking with Memphis Police and Shelby County Sheriff's Office for any reports of damage, and we are still waiting to hear back. Thankfully, right now, no reports of injuries right now. Power outage-wise, MLGW at last check, 131,000 customers without power, about 30% of the viewing area for MLGW without power, 131,000. As far as Arkansas, 27,000 customers without power statewide. Mississippi, 12,000 statewide.
Okay, and like I said, we're working on getting some more information. It's going to take some time. I understand. Jerry's working and trying to get some information from our local officials. They're probably busy right now.
Yeah, he's got 4 pieces of paper next to him and a few pens that I see running out of ink. So I know Jerry's cooking with some of that stuff right now.
So it's going to take some time. It's just going to be the same thing with power outages and coming back on power. It's going to take some time, folks. So if you're out of power, you can still watch us here on Action News 5 on the app. If you lose power, you can still watch us. We're going to stay with you here this evening. I hate that we had to cut into the football game. It's preseason. Hopefully the Saints will get it together. Did they win? I'm just asking a question here. Or did they come back or nothing? Anyways, here's a look at what we got going on. Again, the severe thunderstorm that's still working its way across Marshall County into now Tippah and Benton counties. Please, again, new severe thunderstorm warning coming out for eastern portions of McNairy County. That's going to include that storm that we were talking about with the hail potential coming out of Selmer.
Just had a new severe thunderstorm warning for McNair.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Gotcha.
And that's going to be for the hail core that's going to be coming through. I do want to go over to Eric really quickly because you're looking at that storm. Again, I still think that's still rear inflow jet that's coming on the backside of Lula. It's in a peculiar spot, obviously. When you look at it, you see that bright green and right next to red, and you're probably thinking, oh, that's got to be a tornado. I think that may be just winds that are hitting the backside of the storm and dropping down behind it. So there's probably a burst of wind that comes along with it, and it's right along 49.
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
okay.
Just to the east of, Isle of Capri over there. It's in that area of Lula right now. So, hey, maybe somebody that's over in Lake Cormorant. They're traveling down 51, heading over towards Clarksdale for the evening. Give them a first alert. Let them know they're about to be driving into a pretty nasty storm right now. Pretty much where 49 and 51 intersect each other in northern portions of Coahoma County. The reason Patrick's kind of alluding to this, so, if I turned around and kind of showed you this, like you see the bright greens and the reds, that's like, oh my goodness, there has to be some sort of rotation going on. And obviously the actual radar itself, it's depicting that there is some sort of rotation. But just where this is with respect to the storm here, it's kind of on the backside of this storm right now. And the storm is moving in this direction. So it doesn't really make sense for a tornado to happen pretty much where it says delta on your map here. So hypothetically, you know, if we did, this is kind of where it's indicating where the rotation is, kind of in these general areas. This just isn't the right spot for a tornado to occur here. So I every time that I kind of see it just pop it up here real quickly after going through some of the different storms, it just really gains my attention. And I always do appreciate Patrick kind of just talking about different things out loud here as to what he's monitoring and just obviously the past experience he has here. But the severe thunderstorm warnings, now we have, what, 3 of them, I believe, that are in place, or technically 4, but really is 3 of them here across the Mid-South.
Don't act like that you're a spring chicken around here, Eric. I mean, we've been here together for a long time, it feels like, and of course, going through a lot of different storms together. Just so you know, the Saints lost.
34-0. We don't talk about that,
Yeah, we won't talk about that. Anyways, you know, if you're a Rams fan, fantastic for you. Again, the reason why we're on the air is because of what's happening here today. Unfortunately, we just had a big, massive loss in power here across the Mid-South. It's going to take some time to get back on power. So I want folks to understand, if you still have power, you're still watching us. I know if you're in Dyersburg, you hate me right now, and probably Eric too. Send all your hate mail to me. I'll handle it. Not Eric. Eric's a sweet teddy bear. He can't. No, you can't do that to him. We'll go into the area in the larger perspective, because if you're north of I-40, I know things are quiet now or never even stormed. Unfortunately, what we're dealing with is storms that are destructive, and we've seen that here in Shelby County. We're going to stick around with you here today because of this fact. The storm of note still remains this one here in Marshall, coming out of Marshall County, moving into Benton and Tippah counties. We'll zoom back over and get a look at the radar, the velocity mode here, and which way the winds are blowing, and get an update on those. And there you go. It's not as bright as it was. I'll give it that. You know,
isn't it crazy? The fact that we're excited right now that it's a 70-mile-per-hour warning and not an 80. That's crazy.
As Deja Brown said the other day, small winds are still winds. Okay, so we'll take the winds where we can get them. But
multiple trees down in Holly Springs, no surprise.
No surprise there. I do want to point this out. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a severe thunderstorm warning for southern portions of Hardeman County here shortly, near Bolivar. A little surge of wind coming through here. That would be another warning that would probably include Alcorn County as well as McNairy County. Going to keep an eye on that here. We'll put a storm tracker on that one here in a second. I do want to come back over to this one. And again, you can see this is where the winds are located at. They are pushing eastward, all the way out towards Ripley, Mississippi. I think you're right on the precipice of getting some very strong winds there in Ripley, Mississippi. They'll cross over Mississippi Highway 15, coming across Mississippi Highway 30 as well. And eventually holding together, if it holds together across over U.S. Highway 45 here between Corinth and Tupelo, probably closer to Jumpertown and Prentiss County, Mississippi. That's just outside the Action News 5 coverage area, but we know we have some folks here who can still pick us up. And of course, we're on digital right now. Digital has no bounds. So again, we're watching that. I do want to put a storm track on this storm that's coming through portions of Hardeman County, because that one also not severe warned, but definitely showing some signs of strong winds blowing through that area. So if we put a storm track on that, that would be Middleton 632, Eastview 655, Guys by 656, Corinth 704, and the Crossroads community and eastern heading out towards eastern areas of Alcorn County, western areas of Tishomingo County.
Hardeman County warning coming now.
Yeah. That's what I expected. It's like, you know, there was no way that they weren't going to warn that one. So we'll wait for the polygon to pop in there. But this gives you an indication, give you that first alert here, you know, that we are tracking all of these storms here. So they will pop up here shortly once they issue the warning. I want to come back down to the storm. You know, this one's still damaging, and we'll come back to it as well. But Eric, where are you at? You are on which storm?
You wonder what I was trying to do, and I remember you doing this, Patrick. I've seen you do obviously severe weather a few times here. I was pulling up actually on Max 2 the traffic map to see if there was anything popping up here as far as like weird closures or things like that. Just worthwhile to note this out loud. Nothing that was really getting my attention right now, but I was just keeping an eye on that. But yeah, if you want me to go on one storm and you wanted to work on something else.
You hop down south. We'll stay on this one. You hop down south, get
Gotcha.
your stuff set up, and then we'll come back to that one that's coming through Quitman County here shortly. It should be approaching Marks and Sarah and Sledge here shortly. So again, we're waiting on that new warning coming out for this one that's coming out of Hardeman County. I did want to give you a first alert to that storm that is now blowing, and again, it may be increasing in strength here within the last little bit, moving into Bolivar. So it's probably on top of Bolivar, heading out towards Raymer.
Warning
and
out, yep.
There you go. Raymer and Eastview, well, actually Hornsby, rather. Eastview also involved in this. Raymer, Guys, Lakeview, as you're heading over towards 45, over there by the Love's Truck Stop, there between Selmer and Corinth. Again, that area right in through here, that's also State Park out there. In southwestern portions of McNairy County. So this is going to move through some rural areas, but Middleton, if you're in that area, please take your severe weather precautions as well and treat this almost as if you're dealing with this as the same severe thunderstorm warning that we've got down here to the south, 70-mile-an-hour winds potentially not out of the realm of possibility with that storm. Eric, go ahead and go to that storm down south coming across the Mississippi River into Coahoma and Tunica counties.
Copy. And Patrick, just so you know for yourself, when you're kind of tracking that out later, the National Weather Service has that new warning at 25 miles per hour as far as the forward speed, and it's warned for winds, not for hail, which makes sense, obviously. Yeah. All right, as far as the storm that Patrick's having me keep an eye on here, it is into Tunica, as well as Coahoma and Quitman counties, into the Mississippi Delta right now, over in Mississippi. If you know anybody that was headed towards Clarksdale, maybe you live in Batesville, you were planning on going to Tunica this evening, not the best idea to do that here. If you're going to do that, at the least take 55 to the north, maybe cut back on 269 well to the north. And I know that's not ideal, but you don't want to mess with this storm here. Let me turn the warnings off here. So actually, before I do that, let me just talk about that. The warning that is in place, it does include portions of Panola County, as well as Quitman, Tunica, Coahoma, and even further to the south into Tallahatchie County until 7 o'clock this evening. Right now it is 6:31, knocking on the door 6:32. This storm is warned for the potential 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as 1-inch diameter size hail. National Weather Service noting that this is moving to the southeast here at about 40 miles per hour. So Falcon, right about now is when the storm, you can expect this to really pick up as far as activity is concerned. Marks in about 3 minutes at 6:36. Sledge, Mississippi, 6:38 is when you can expect heavy rain, lightning, some strong winds, and inch diameter size hail. Lambert, 6:42. Pope, just after 7 o'clock. Cortland and Batesville, Mississippi at 7:03. And then Oakland, Mississippi. This is moving into Tallahatchie County at 7:18. If you know anybody traversing from Jackson, Mississippi to the north right now, if they're headed back to Memphis, if they're headed to Hernando, give them a first alert. Let them know what they have going on with this right now. Did just get a report from the National Weather Service, or somebody within the National Weather Service chat. I'm going to assume that this is in Ashland, Mississippi. Part of a roof was blown off of a building here on the square in Ashland. So that is pretty significant. Speaking of that, I'm going to go back over to that storm right now because, well, right now it is moving itself through Benton and Tippah counties, and this is still packing quite a punch here. That's kind of interesting that the warning here, it expired into Marshall County. That was, I think maybe they're about to reissue it here because I don't really think that would be canceled quite yet.
No, it's past Marshall at this point.
But I'm saying even into Union County in the southern portion of Tippah and Benton.
Yeah, they're going to reissue. They got to reissue that part. Yeah.
So just this whole entire big time wind shield of, quite frankly, just wind. This is going to be a big track here, but this is still moving to the southeast at about 45 miles per hour. So here's your first alert. Faulkner, as well as Myrtle and Blue Mountain, 6:37 in a matter of 5 minutes, or within 5 minutes, this is going to be mowing you down with some very strong winds, as well as some heavy rain and lightning. Over into Ripley, Mississippi at 6:40. So you have 7 minutes, really 5 to 7 minutes, before you're about to experience some very heavy winds, as well as very heavy rain and lightning. New Albany, Union County at 6:50. Dumas and Raymer at 6:52. Corinth at 7:06. Corinth, you are dealing with a shower and really a thunderstorm right now. But as far as the strongest winds, you're probably going to be encountering those within about a half hour or so. So good idea to get into your safe place. We haven't had any tornado warnings associated with any of these storms here across the Mid-South. I got going with this here as far as this live stream. I believe it was at about 3:45, give or take, within that range there. I think it was 3:43 specifically. And over the past 3 hours, we haven't had a single tornado warning. But quite frankly, I think the destruction that's come out of this, if we had tornado warnings, they would be relatively significant tornado warnings per se, just because the windshield. We've seen basically a 10-mile area of winds that probably had 70-plus mile per hour winds just mow down portions of Shelby County, Marshall County, Fayette County, over into Benton County as well. So there's a lot of destruction that did occur here in northern Mississippi and into southwestern portions of Tennessee, Patrick.
Yeah, and as we're getting a little farther away from the radar site, I think that's part of the reason why we're starting to see the winds starting to come down a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'm still waiting on them to reissue that warning farther down to the south.
I'll ask him about that.
Yeah, Atoka in southern portions of Tipton County. Several road closures coming in. Tipton Road closed from Highway 51 to Maple due to trees down. This is coming from the town's Facebook page, by the way. Power lines and power poles down. Highway 51 in Watson closed at the railroad tracks, and northbound Rosemark Road, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office has shut down the roadway between Mudville Road and Tracy Road. So that would be, again, northern Shelby into southern Tipton County, getting past TRA, heading back up to the north into southern portions of Tipton County. Go ahead.
Hey, so there's a tree down in the, this would be the westbound lane of I-40, right before Canada Road.
I was about to say that. Can we take the traffic map on Max 2? Because I noticed that there were some slowdowns. And to Eric's point, we've used this before, and sometimes you can see there's obviously something that's wrong because it's 6:30 on a Saturday. We shouldn't have major traffic issues, okay? You can see at Lakeland and where it says Lakeland right there, that would make sense. Something has happened there, and obviously a tree has fallen there at I-40 and Canada Road. You also notice along Germantown Parkway, slowdowns north and southbound getting past Walnut Grove.
72 in Collierville.
72 in Collierville, okay. 72 in Collierville, getting past by Hillier Road and heading back past Houston Levee, heading over towards the east, almost out to 269. Again, you got some slowdowns through here, through Germantown, several different spots here, through East Memphis, heading past Massey Hill, International Drive, Kirby Parkway, East Memphis, Mendenhall, White Station, slowdowns in through there. I don't know if, okay, can you pull that up for me, Darian? That Fayette County
Is that
information? There you go. Okay, so this is a look at the TDOT camera, I-40 at the Shelby-Fayette County line. That would be westbound traffic trying to head towards the city of Memphis. That's slow right now.
because of that tree being down?
Yes, because of the tree being down. So you said one lane's closed?
Yeah, it covers one lane.
Okay,
so.
it covers one lane. Okay, so more than likely, obviously, with it being westbound traffic, it's probably the right lane. So if you know anybody who's trying to come inbound this morning, dump over in the left-hand lane once you get past the exit with the Buc-ee's, the Galloway exit. All right.
Do you want anything while we have this up right now? Do you want to see anything else? And I'll
yeah, let's just kind of like go back a little back to the west and see you see some spots here through Whitehaven. You see some spots along Elvis Presley Boulevard heading up into Alcee Ball, heading past Hamilton High School. You see Democrat right here and Plow Boulevard moving past the airport, slowdowns there. Lamar getting past American Way all the way down to Shelby Drive. We got some pockets here where there's some very slow traffic. And again, I know you're thinking to yourself, well, why would I need to show this? But this may give us at least some clues of where damage is being located at. Look at this. This would be, I think is that Highway 4?
Yes.
Yeah, no, Highway 4 is right there.
Well, Highway 4,
Yeah,
I mean,
Highway
it's slowed
4,
down.
yeah, there, okay, yeah, you're right. Highway 4 going out towards Snow Lake Shores. Highway 4 right there. I hate to tell you this, but there's not that many people who live in Snow Lake Shores that would have the traffic slow like this at this point in time. So more than likely, we've got some damage here.
Hey, producer Darion just said something about I-40 that we have it up.
Yeah, I just saw it. You can go ahead and pull that up. That is at the Chambers Chapel overpass. So that's looking towards that tree being down. You can see the flashing lights off in the distance, and you see, if you look really closely, they've got the arrows pointing to the left. So they're trying to dump everybody off in that left lane, I-40 westbound, getting past Chambers Chapel, heading out towards Canada Road. So it looks like that tree down just before you get to Chambers, to Canada Road. Let's go back over to the radar and circle back over here because, again, while we were talking about traffic, quote unquote, the reason why I was doing that because I'm trying to figure out where the damage points are. And those places I just mentioned, may have some damage points here that we'll have to watch out. Strong winds crossing over Mississippi Highway 15 right now, moving into just north of Ripley, heading back up towards Faulkner and Walnut here. So again, if you're in this area, please take those extra precautions. The storm that was in Hardeman County doesn't look as strong as it did maybe about 10-15 minutes ago, but it's still packing a punch, coming right down 64. Hornsby, next town in line there, as well as Selmer, Raymer, Eastview. Go ahead and take the course of least regret on that as those storms are moving eastward at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. I'm going to clear this off here, and we're going to go back over to the traditional radar. This is the how hard it's raining mode. Actually, I'm not in play mode, so.
Hey, Jerry asking, he's got some information I think he wants to share with us about. Is it Germantown, Jerry? So what you got going on with that, Mr. Askin?
Yep, Germantown. The city of Germantown PD did put out an alert in the past half hour or so saying that there are several traffic lights that are known to be out. We're talking South Germantown Road and West Farmington, Poplar Avenue and West Street. Germantown Road and Hospital Drive, Forest Hill, Irene Road and Poplar Avenue, Forest Hill, Irene Road and Winchester Road, Poplar Avenue and Arthurwood Cove, South Germantown Road and Neshoba Road, Poplar Avenue and Poplar Estates Drive, Poplar Avenue and Oakley Lane. Again, several intersections that may be without a light right now in the Germantown area.
So if you're don't go down Poplar, basically, is what I'm hearing right now, because you're going to have nothing but power outage. Go ahead.
And remember, if a light is out, you have to treat it like a four-way stop sign. You have to stop at it.
Yes. So please take those precautions here. You probably don't want to be on the roads anyways with this stuff. We're done, I think, with the severe weather here in Shelby County. That may be famous last words, but the majority of the storms that we've had so far moving out of the area. Now, if you're in Wynn, if you're in Forest City, yes, it's rocking, it's booming right now, but nothing severe at the present. The three severe storms that we currently have: one, northern Quitman County, moving over Mississippi Highway 3 right now. Mark, Sledge, as well as Lambert heading up to Crenshaw. You need to be in your safe place. That will be crossing over I-55 between Como and Batesville. Sardis would be included with that. Sardis Lake will be included with that, probably within the next 20 minutes or so. Then you have the other storm, the one that was previously warned for a destructive tag with 80+ mile per hour winds through Marshall County. Currently, that is moving through Tippah and Benton counties. Alcorn County and Prentiss County next in line on that one. The one farther to the north coming out of eastern McNairy County into Hardin County. That one is for hail. That storm has weakened, I would say, but still strong enough that it is keeping a warning on it. We have rain in Shelby County, but it has calmed down considerably. Go ahead and take that. I see the I-40 at the Galloway exit. Go ahead and take that, because I want to show you what the atmosphere wants to do. After it tries to kill us here today, the sun's trying to come out. So unfortunately, we're dealing with very, I say that lightly, but what I'm saying is that, we're trying to clear out the skies behind the storm. So as soon as this batch moves through, for the vast majority of it, you're done. Okay, that's frozen. Okay, well, it does look like that's trying to clear up over there. So at least that helps. But unfortunately, we are in a situation here where we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. They are very active here today. We are almost done. I'd give it another 45 minutes to an hour before they're mostly out of the Action News 5 coverage area. We will still have some storms over in eastern Arkansas for a couple more hours. You see several other severe thunderstorms. They're coming out of central Arkansas. You see one up closer to Searcy, Arkansas, one right down the spine of the Arkansas River, coming down closer to Pine Bluff, one past Conway, Arkansas. So we're going to keep an eye on those, but they're all angling mainly to the south and east. These are more east-southeast. So this batch of rain and storms moving in this direction. These are moving more in this direction, more towards the south and east. These are moving more east than south right now as they're moving off through North Mississippi and portions of West Tennessee. Eric?
All right, so we are still dealing with technically 5 severe thunderstorm warnings here across the Mid-South. The most destructive one per se. I mean, there's a couple of different ones that we're kind of keeping an eye on. One that could have some wind and hail. I mean, all these can have some wind and hail within them, and at the least have some heavy rain within them and lightning too. But do want to kind of point out here, if you are along or north of I-40, the weather has simmered down quite a bit here. Now, if you start going a little bit further to the west here, if you're into Wynne, Arkansas, further up to the north here, getting a little bit closer to Weiner, Arkansas, as well as even Harrisburg, Arkansas, we have certainly seen some heavy rain, and we have some strong winds around right now. But as far as the severe weather threat goes, it really is confined to being south of I-40. So your first alert right now, I do want to put some tracks on these showers and storms here across the Mid-South because it's been a heck of a past few hours here across the area too. All right, first one we're going to do is into Hardeman, Benton, and Tippah counties. This is going to be approaching Corinth as we roll to about 7:30 this evening here, 7:16. Faulkner, 6:51. You can anticipate some 60-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rain, as well as lightning and the potential of some 1-inch diameter size hail. That goes for Raymer at 7:04 and Ripley, Mississippi at 7:06. Eastview, 7:09 is your time when you can anticipate heavy rain, lightning, as well as some strong winds and some hail. Corinth, 7:16. Mickey at 7:19. Farmington at 7:22. 7:25 for Jumpertown, and Rienzi, 7:27 is your time when you can anticipate some strong winds as well as some lightning and some heavy rain. So your first alert, I know some of these areas have already seen showers and storms up to this point, but I still want to point that out. Further to the southwest into the Mississippi Delta here, keep an eye on these storms that are just north of Marks, Mississippi, really kind of centered between Marks, Mississippi's Tunica and Senatobia. The winds on this, it still has quite frankly, a nasty little look to it here, but just not in the right spot for a tornado to occur. So I know if you turn around and see these reds and greens like that, it might, say, whoa, what in the world's going on there? I don't think we have to worry about a tornadic standpoint from that. Do think that there is definitely some hail, and this is an area that actually got hit by hail. Technically, it would have been yesterday morning here into the northwestern corner of Panola County here, just outside of Sledge, Mississippi. So these are also
about 1:25 in the morning.
Yeah,
or 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
Yeah, so in that general range of Patrick saying 1:25 to 2 o'clock in the morning. These are sliding to the southeast here at about 40 miles per hour as well. Batesville 7:03, Cortland at 7:06, Pope at 7:07, Water Valley getting a little bit further to the south here into, I wouldn't call it central Mississippi, but closer to central Mississippi than northern Mississippi at 7:34, and then Coffeyville at 7:44. So keep an eye on obviously all these warnings here across the Mid-South. National Weather Service noting that they're going to trim the back edge of the northeast Mississippi and southwest Tennessee severe thunderstorm warning. So when they're talking about that one, they're talking about this guy right over here just to the north of Ripley, kind of near Ripley, Bolivar, Selmer, and Corinth over towards Adderville and Pickwick Lake. So Patrick, we still obviously have a little bit of time to go before everything really does start to settle itself down as far as the warnings go, but it looks like at least we're getting the light at the end of the tunnel per se. Yeah. But there's still a lot of people without power right now.
And it's going to be a lot. Now, they told me that the number has gone down. I will check in with Jerry. So far, we're still getting damage reports coming in. I will say this before we go over to Jerry Askin. Looking at this storm that was quote-unquote destructive, and it was. Let's be honest with ourselves here. It has weakened considerably.
Yes.
In the last maybe 15, 20 minutes. It is not nearly as organized as it was coming through Shelby County, Fayette County, Marshall County. But there's going to be a corridor right in through here that is going to have pretty extensive damage, and we're going to work on getting more information coming in. And for everybody in the back, let's make sure we're checking in with Marshall County, Fayette County, not just Shelby County. Make sure we're checking in with Tipton County and
DeSoto too, northeast corner, Olive Branch,
northeast DeSoto County, as well. Get some more information about those storms moving through. All right, let's go over to Jerry Askin and check in with him. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Patrick. At last check, speaking of Marshall County, there were 1,200 customers without power in Marshall County. As for Arkansas, statewide, 27,000 customers statewide without power. In Memphis, light, gas, and water, 126,000 customers without power. We saw about 130,000 in the past half hour or so. So we are seeing fewer power outages in the past half hour. Thankfully, but again, still 29% of customers for MLGW are still without power. We are tracking right now reports of any damages or any injuries throughout the Mid-South. We are checking in with all of our law enforcement agencies across the area to see if there are any reports of damages or injuries across the area. A pole down at last check on Highway 70, trees down reported in Fraser, a tree down at Germantown Road and Barn Stable Road, and we're also learning of several lights, I should say, out in the Germantown area. All
right, good stuff there, Jerry. I do want to go back and really focus on the one severe thunderstorm warning that is still capturing our attention more than the other ones. Fortunately, right now, it's not into northeast Mississippi, and quite frankly, that's where I think we've seen a lot of destruction over the past couple of hours, but more into the Mississippi Delta, just to the west of I-55 into Tunica, Coahoma, Quitman, and Panola counties right now. The storm threats that you do see on your screen, once we start seeing some of these purples pop up, that's usually an indication of either some very heavy rain and even some small hail that could be embedded. Notice the box that's kind of blinking right now. That's where the severe thunderstorm warning is. It does include Panola as well as Quitman, Coahoma, Tunica, and into Tallahatchie County as well. This warning is until 7 o'clock this evening. Right now it is 6:49. So in theory, this is going to expire here in about 10 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if this does get extended further to the south here. Let me put it back on to the how hard is it raining mode, as Patrick likes to allude to, and it's a good way to refer to it as. So this way you can kind of get a better track on this. And this is still scooting to the southeast here. Come on. At about 40 miles per hour. Drag that down to the southeast here. And here we go at about 40 miles per hour. Cortland and Batesville at 7:02. Pope at 7:04. Oakland at 7:21. Water Valley at 7:34. And then Coffeyville at 7:40. Patrick, before I turn it back to you, because I think you're going to tell us how strong the winds were here at the station at Action News 5. That's the impression I got from you. I do want to put this on a future scan here, just so we could kind of see the ebbs and flows of this as to what it anticipates doing over the next little bit here when it does come to, well, really the rest of the evening hours. And this has everything sliding itself down to the southeast. I know over towards Lake Cormorant, areas that are into western DeSoto County, you see some of those showers and storms that are over there that are approaching you by about 8 o'clock. We'll be keeping an eye on those over into West Memphis as well, but we still have a couple hours to go and really a few hours to go before the rain showers and thunderstorms will be completely out of here. But I do think the overall severe weather threat, at least for most of us, it's starting to dwindle away, but we are still keeping a close eye over on Panola County.
You were wrong. I wasn't going to say how strong the winds were. I just happened to walk back there. But
sorry,
they were going to clip that warning from Tunica County and Coahoma County. So that warning that you were just talking about down there in Mississippi, they're going to clip that warning off. So Coahoma and Tunica counties will come out of that warning. It's still going to be in effect for Panola as well as Tate and Quitman County.
Copy.
The severe thunderstorm watch, I wouldn't be surprised here. They may hold on to it a little bit longer than an hour. I said an hour, but probably hold on an extra hour.
Safe than sorry.
And the reason why is because they usually try to blank out rows of counties. So this row of counties that Shelby County is in may not get completely cleared just because we still have storms out here towards the east. But still, that severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock this evening for areas in North Mississippi. You see, obviously, the reason why we do not anticipate that it will last until 10 o'clock.
Correct.
A lot of this, as you just saw there on the First Alert Precision Tracker Futurecast, that next 2 hours will show most of the showers and storms working their way farther down to the south and east and eventually clearing the board. But we'll probably still have some rain around the area for a couple of more hours, but maybe the severe portion of it at least dwindling here across the region. Back out to the storm out to the east. Again, not nearly as organized as it was about an hour ago. We'll put a loop on this, and you'll see how this has evolved over the last hour or so, how that storm just kind of blew itself out and then fell apart. As it was collapsing, that was what was causing those 80+ mile per hour winds as it was moving through northern Marshall County into Tippah County and Benton County. So again, not nearly as strong as it was, but we are seeing a little bit of back building here. The storms are refiring again in southern portions of McNairy County into Alcorn County. So from Corinth to Kossuth, back up towards the north, up towards Selmer and Guys and Raymer. We still have some very strong winds. Maybe the potential also for some small hail to mix in from time to time as that works its way again down towards the east and southeast. But this will probably be the last of these storms moving through this area. Once this warning clears, they might issue one more to clip a couple of more counties down here, but I don't anticipate that the entire county will be underneath. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, so, you know, I after Garner Montgomery, he's with his photographer, Than Clayton, they were over in Oakland, Tennessee earlier today. I just told them to go over towards Slade, and obviously, Patrick, you know, this is a community that's been hit pretty hard here over the past couple of years, and he made it over to South Sladen Road, which is one of the roads that really got hit hard here going back about 18 months ago, and I believe we do have them up and running here. So, Garner, wow, that was probably a heck of a drive getting down there. What's it like down there right now, and you know, what was the drive like, and what have you seen?
Yeah, until we got stopped here past the highway down here to South Sladen Road. There was plenty of debris on the roads. I did see some sheds that had been torn apart. About the damage that you would see from a light tornado. But want to give you a look at what we see right here. You can see that this van right here narrowly avoided being hit by this down tree. I talked with the owner of this car. She's across the street right now. Can't get with her, but she said she was pulling out of her mother's driveway and got this close to the tree as it was coming down. It's now blocking South Sladen Road. There is a tree service company that is working right now to try and get rid of this debris, but looks like there's plenty of cars on the other end and this end that are trying to find a new route because this happened very suddenly here in Marshall County. If you're heading from this way down to Holly Springs, you're going to have to find an alternate route. There are some cars moving into people's driveways. There's people who live here who are trying to coordinate traffic. We're in a very unexpected scene here in this area, but people are making do with what they got. Here, well, let's see what they're trying to do right now with the chainsaw. Trying to bring down this tree and clear the path, but looks like it's going to take a little bit more time before this area is cleared and South Sladen Road is going to be safe to travel. We'll keep traveling, see what we find out here. Like I said, damage was not significant here, but pretty consistently strong winds blowing debris into the road. So be straight wherever you are in this area. Be safe with your driving because there could be situations like this on the road where paths need to be cleared, alternate routes need to be coordinated, but probably the best advice I would have is to stay home today.
All right, Garner.
Look at that, look at that, look at that.
Oh, yeah, you see the tree coming down there.
Looks like they're about to pull the branch back with the car. We might get a good shot. You can hear the limbs snapping as they're trying to move this out of the way and clear the path. But again, it's a slow process. Looks like they're getting out of the truck now. They're trying to drag the branch back as much as possible to at least open up a single lane. But looks like they're coming back with the chainsaw to make it an easier time for them.
All right, Garner, we'll check back in with you. Of course, you guys be safe getting back here to Shelby County because, of course, it seems like this may be pretty common across many sections of the area. And, of course, thanks to those guys being out there and being safe and, of course, just being neighborly. You know, we talked about this over the last couple of weeks with the heat, being neighborly, checking in on folks and making sure they're all right. Being neighborly, that's what's happening right there. People just getting chainsaws out and
the people in Slade don't get me. Those
fantastic
people.
Folks. There.
I love those people.
Again, still have an active severe thunderstorm warning. And Eric, I'm going to come back to you with the other one. These will probably be the last two warnings, hopefully, as we go through the next little bit. I will say I'm starting to see a little bit of back building here in the eastern portions of Hardeman County, a little bit of hail potential there near the McNairy and Hardeman County line. That's drifting down towards the south and east. That will come out here closer to the state park, moving out towards northern Alcorn County here soon. Theo, along U.S. Highway 72, will cross over Mississippi Highway 2 here shortly as well as it continues to work its way down towards Corinth. I know it's pretty nasty right now, but maybe the nastiest part of it just to your north and west, moving through southwestern portions of McNairy County, moving into eastern areas of Hardeman County. We'll zoom back out here and kind of give everybody a broad overview of where we are because keep in mind, I know that some folks are like, what's going on? We are on the air and things have calmed down. Good news, things have calmed down from where we were maybe about an hour ago. We're coming up to 7 o'clock here on Action News 5. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Patrick Ells with Eric Brill. First Alert Meteorologist Eric Brill. Jared Askin is here as well. We have Garner Montgomery. He's out in the field here today. And, we're trying to get all of our ducks in a row and try to give you as much information on what's happened here over the last little bit. We haven't checked in with Jerry for a little bit. Let's check in with him with some news aspect of this about what's going on here across the area, some damage damage reports and power outages.
Yeah, also worth to mention, Eric and Patrick, thank you all for keeping us safe and all the work y'all are doing to make sure we're all safe here across the Mid-South. It's worth to mention that we just came into our newsroom, Tipton County Sheriff Beasley announcing that there are 2 residents that saw trees fall either at or near their homes on Quito Estates area. Again, that is in the Tipton County area. Thankfully, no one was hurt. As far as the power outages for MLGW, right now, the current outage is at 127,000 customers without power. About 29% of customers for MLGW without power. That number is gone up a little bit in the past half hour, but still down from that 130,000 that we saw in the past hour or so. We're also checking in with other counties here across the Mid-South, and we have learned that Fayette County, DeSoto County, and Marshall County and Cross County Sheriff's Office have not posted any recent updates. So we're hoping that good news, what's the phrase here? No news is good news.
Yeah, but sometimes no news can be, they're really busy.
Yeah,
and,
or really bad too.
But we want to hope for good news, but unfortunately, based off of what we saw, it's hard to say that, we just saw from Marshall County, obviously there were trees down. We know that to be the case, and more than likely there's going to be trees, power lines down all across, especially the northern portion of Marshall County. We have that one warning that just came out for the rest of Panola County and Lafayette County. It looks like it clips Tallahatchie and Yalobusha counties there in North Mississippi. These are the last 2 warnings here. That one goes until what, 7:45?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll get that one out of the county, and then we'll go back over to the regular schedule program, and we'll start getting back into what we're dealing with here. But we wanted to kind of give everybody an overview of what's happening here across the Mid-South. This is atypical for us here. We don't typically have these types of storms moving through here like this, and obviously has caused a fair amount of damage here across the Mid-South. We're getting reports all across the region, and some of you have not seen a drop of rain here today, and I know that is frustrating when you are watching us and you're like, well, I'm not seeing anything. Can you get back? Unfortunately, we're dealing with so many things that are coming together here today that it's hard to break away from it because of the fact that we do have now multiple reports of damage that have come in here. And not just in Memphis and Shelby County. It's all across the core of the Mid-South here throughout the metro area this afternoon and this evening. All right, so let's go back down towards the storm that's coming out of Panola County because that storm is probably the strongest of the storms that is currently in effect. That just came into western portions of Panola County. Batesville, go ahead and be prepared for this storm moving through here. I mean, that's a mini supercell.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Most definitely coming through there. You can see the V notch right here. You see how it kind of looks like a screaming eagle, if you will. That is actually a technical term. Looking at radar data. We're going to track this one. You said 20 on this one?
That one was let's see, I'm pulled up right now. Okay. That is moving east at 40.
40, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll put this east at 40.
For 60 and 1, just FYI.
Okay, so this is a baseline severe thunderstorm warning comparatively to the destructive warning that we had a couple of minutes ago across northern Mississippi. Pope and Enid, Water Valley, Paris there in southern portions of Lafayette County, and the Bruce community moving out towards Chickasaw County, Mississippi. That's where we're going to be dealing with these storms here over the next hour. So once this storm gets out of the Action News 5 coverage area, we'll probably send you back over to regular schedule programming, so another 30 minutes or so. But this has been a very active afternoon. We talked about the potential for storms, but this may have even went above and beyond even what we were thinking today. 97 here at the station this afternoon, a very hot day. And you have these small-scale disturbances coming down the pipeline. Every time you have those small-scale disturbances coming down the pipeline like this is what could occur. Tomorrow, not an issue. Monday, we could have a conversation about that. Also Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, because unfortunately, we are going to be stuck in a pattern like this for a couple of days. Now, it won't be nearly as hot as we head towards early next week, but definitely still the opportunities for storms to roll through here. Let's go over to the hail inside of this storm. There you go, some hail potential there west of Batesville coming down. That would be US Highway 278 approaching Batesville here. That will more than likely head down towards Pope and Cortland here in the southern portions of Panola County. And of course now, let's go back over here and look at the debris tracker. You can probably see that's a little messy from that perspective. So,
Hey Patrick, speaking of the debris tracker, let's go back out to Garner Montgomery. They're back out there. You see that the tree's still getting cut down. They're moving that away from South Slade Road. Obviously, you can see Garner out there in the distance. So good stuff that they're clearing out that tree. You could obviously look at all the people that are out there cleaning that up with a bunch of with a bunch of chainsaws and whatnot.
we talk about Mississippi nice, Mid-South nice, whatever you want to call it. I mean, these folks are out there helping each other, trying to get things cleared up. It's going to take a while. And, you know, we've been seeing Garner here, for the last 15 minutes. It took them probably longer than that to get this all cleared up when you think about it. So, you know, these are going to be situations that are going to be pretty pervasive across the entire area, and many sections of the area here over the next couple of hours. As we're trying to get things cleared up and power back on, but it's going to take a while for the power to come back on. Again, please give some grace to folks who are out there doing the Lord's work to get the power back on here this afternoon, because there's a lot of people without power just in Memphis and Shelby County, not to mention the other counties around the area.
And Patrick, for what it's worth, National Weather Service saying they're about to clear out an additional row of counties. Okay. Well, they didn't say an additional row, but they're going to clear out more counties here shortly.
Yeah, and more than likely, they may go ahead and clear out Shelby County here as well. I think that we're probably in a clear or very close to it here from Shelby County's perspective. But that storm right there, let's go over to the velocity mode, the which way the winds are blowing mode there. You know, we weren't talking about tornado. I think that this is side lobe contamination here. But, you know, there's definitely some wind that's blowing into that storm. It is getting ingested with some very warm and muggy air nonetheless. That is a severe storm with some strong, damaging straight line winds. Yeah. But we're going to keep an eye out on that front edge of that storm, because you might get a brief little gustnado or something of that nature there on the leading edge of that storm as it's about to come across I-55 near Batesville, just south of there out towards Cortland and Pope, moving down into the southern portion of the county. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning continues until 7:45 this evening. Does include portions of Lafayette County, Yalobusha, and also into Tallahatchie County. Let's go. You've got the other storm off to the east, right? All right,
sure.
So let's go back over there. That's moving across 45 right now.
Yeah, so I'm still keeping an eye on that storm that is moving itself really to the east and northeast Mississippi. It almost really stretches from, not quite Jackson, but say from Selmer all the way down to Tupelo, right along 45 here. And I will say, after this looks like it weakened a bit in Union County, as it's starting to get closer to Tupelo and really moving itself towards Lee County and Itawamba County in northeast Mississippi, it looks like it's trying to regain its strength. So if you know anybody that was over in Birmingham for the day, they're starting to head on back. Make sure that they're aware as they're on I-22, Highway 78. It's about to be picking up some steam here as far as potential stronger winds are concerned. Yeah. Still do have that severe thunderstorm warning that is in place for portions of Alcorn and McNairy counties. This continues to move itself off to the east here at about 45 miles per hour, although I think the forward speed on this may has come down just a tick. But for the sake of it, I'll just track it at 40 miles per hour. Farmington at 7:08 is when you can expect some inch in diameter size hail, 60 mile per hour winds, heavy rain and lightning. Mickey by 7:10, Burnsville 7:20, Iuka at 7:31, Waterloo 7:43, and once we start getting further to the east, we're getting into northwestern portions of Alabama here. So I do just want to say that out loud, and like I said, if you know anybody that's traveling to the northwest here on I-22, they're about to have some pretty strong winds in the general Tupelo region, especially on the north side of town here. So not a great situation there. As far as some of the stronger winds are concerned, if I kind of cherry pick and look at some of these stronger winds here, I'm sure that they're going to be.
You might be closer to look at it from Columbus.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. We're looking at the range here about 40 miles per hour. So
that's why they haven't issued.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're a little closer to the Columbus radar site when you get down to Tupelo comparatively to Millington. That storm, though, still has some hail potential with it. And this storm is still pretty strong as it's moving across. Again, when you look at this in comparison to where we were talking about the destructive nature of the storm that was moving through Marshall and Benton counties within the last hour or so, they are nowhere near as bright as this. Even into Shelby County. Can we pull up the MLGW map? I just want to look at the map because there is a section that's like 60,000 homes and businesses without power down in the southern portion of Shelby County. And guess where it is? It's like Parkway Village. It's Hickory Hill. It's Fox Meadows.
Along and south of 385 over there?
Yeah. So if you zoom in there, yeah, you know, you see 30,000 homes and businesses, 33,000, 35 Seattle Park, Audubon Park. I mean, my goodness.
Knight Arnold Road.
Yeah, so, you know, we were tracking through that area, between Lamar and 385, Parkway Village, Hickory Hill area, that area had 60, 70 mile an hour winds.
And honestly, go further up to the northwest near Orange Mound.
Yeah.
Orange Mound, Midtown, Cooper Young. Maybe not specifically Cooper Young, but East Memphis. It really is scattered all over the place along and south of I-40. And there are areas north of I-40 that do not have power either, but it is certainly significantly worse south of 40 and along and south of, say, Poplar per se, or south of Summer per se, that are certainly quite a bit worse than areas to the north are. But man, we have seen some nasty winds throughout the past few hours today, Patrick.
Yeah, and just so you know, when I did go back there, I did look and see the number. It was still 44.
Interesting.
So, we had a 44 mile an hour wind gust here at the station.
And that's when it was starting to ramp back up.
Yeah, 5 miles away at the airport was 64.
Yeah.
So, you could see a completely different scenario play out from one side of town to the other side of town, in short order as these storms were moving through here. Still have this storm again in southern portions of Panola County, still working its way through Batesville right now, coming across I-55 here very shortly. The strongest of the winds probably moving right over downtown Batesville here shortly. So all the businesses there at Highway 6 and I-55, thinking like Walmart, Zaxby's, a couple hotels over there, the Northwest Mississippi Community College satellite campus there. Those areas are probably going to get the worst of the winds here very shortly as it moves through the city of Batesville. I think this stays outside of Oxford. Okay, so if you've got a child over at the U of M campus, the Ole Miss campus, I think that this storm itself mostly will stay south of Oxford.
Agreed.
But if you have some folks who live out towards Taylor, heads up to them. Southern side of Oxford might get a little bit of more of the storm impact than anything else. Maybe more so than maybe as you head up towards like College Hill, heading up towards the campus itself, downtown Oxford. But South Oxford might get at least the edge of that, the heavier batch of storms moving through there. Basically, western portions of Panola County under the gun right now with that strong and severe storm that's moving through there. We'll zoom back out and give everybody a broad perspective of where everything is located at here. And again, you head up to the north, things are much quieter here across the Mid-South when it comes down to it. Wait, hold on.
The watch.
The watch, okay.
When I was pointing at my wrist, I was saying watch as far as that goes.
Because it came up on my watch.
Right.
But I was looking, but it was at the wrong.
So the watch has been dropped now for Crittenden, Cross, Fayette, Hardeman, and Shelby counties. So there you go. You got Patrick's map over there that shows that. So the only county in western Tennessee that has a watch still in place is McNairy.
And obviously still with a severe thunderstorm warning, so it makes sense.
Right.
That's why we were saying, like, they may try to blank out the entire row of counties. They just went ahead and blanked out a couple of the counties on that row, with the exception of McNairy County, because they still have an active severe thunderstorm warning in effect, which should be dropping off here shortly. I think that one goes until 7:15.
In McNairy? Yeah, that is still 7:15.
Okay, so it's still 7:15. We'll see if they extend it. It still has a little bit of a punch with it there in McNairy County, and it's only like halfway through that warning polygon. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do issue another warning that would include eastern portions of McNairy County, eastern Alcorn County, Tishomingo, and Hardin County. So kind of that southeastern corner that would go all the way over to the state line.
Hey, for what it's worth, Patrick, we still do have Garner Montgomery. He is out there in Sladen, over on South Sladen Road. And this is an area that, at least with the radar estimates here, that did move through the northern portion of Marshall County. We looked at some maybe 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. And you see this is Garner's live shot right now. I'm sure he's communicating with the people that were out there clearing out some of those trees to see exactly, if they wanted to be part of an interview or whatnot. But the good news is it does look like that South Sladen Road is opening back up here. You see the road itself with the cars starting to clear on out of the way, and well, I'm sure that the dump truck back there, it's probably got some trees out there too. So we'll be getting Garner Montgomery back here in a little bit. He's kind of talking to people and interviewing some different people out there, but at least over into South Sladen Road, the road is now back open. The reality is, though, I do think we are going to be dealing with a lot of roads kind of closed right now that will be opening up in the coming minutes and hours and whatnot. But with all that said, we are still dealing with 2 severe thunderstorm warnings here across the Mid-South. One that is set to come to completion here in about 2 minutes at 7:15. Another one that is in northwest Mississippi that is set to come to a completion at about 7:45. I'm meteorologist Eric Briley. You've been with myself and meteorologist Patrick Ellis here for point, give or take within there. And we have seen some really strong winds, really heavy rain, all sorts of things moving through the Mid-South ever since about 3:45 in the afternoon here. We did have a severe thunderstorm watch in place that engulfed the entire Mid-South. Fortunately, that's been condensed now into really the Mississippi Delta and all throughout northern Mississippi. While this given event looks like it's going to wind down as far as from a physical weather standpoint over the next couple of hours, we are likely going to be dealing with the repercussions of this, Patrick, for quite some time with how many power outages we have seen around the area.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's go back over to our Garner Montgomery. He's got another update from South Sladen Road there in northern Marshall County. Of course, it's still very active scene there as things are starting to clear up, though. Garner, how's things looking? Are they going to be able to get things moving once again? Did they get everything cleared up?
Yeah, it looks like things are clear now. Of course, the lady with the van, we're gonna have to find her before we head out to make sure that she's clear. But as you can see, so much progress was made. What we saw were dozens of, or about 6 or 7, maybe I'd say about 10 volunteers who just showed up while the tree service company was here. Some people just came up with their own chainsaws to help. Some people who just had the clothes in their back powered through the rain just to help clear the branches to make sure that South Sladen Road is safe to travel. Looks like there is still some down trees past this way, but people are maneuvering around the debris instead of having to move through it. But just want to give you all a positive update from where we were the last time y'all saw us.
All right, Garner, we appreciate that. I know you guys need to start heading back in this direction. Please be safe, okay, because it's going to be maybe a little bit more treacherous as you go farther down the road here, and we're getting closer to dark time here. It's almost, 7:45 is sunset, so y'all be safe getting back over here to Shelby County, guys. All right, let's go back over to the warning that was in effect for portions of McNairy County, Alcorn County. They allowed that one to expire. They're not going to reissue it, right, Eric?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so that's good news. So we're going to hold here until 7:30. We'll send you back over to regular scheduled programming on all channels. Okay, we'll go back over to all channels, back on regular programming at 7:30. But we want to give everybody updates of where we are, how things are playing out, and where we can go from here. Okay, because this is going to be again a long stretch here where you may be without power. I want to check in with Jerry Askin and see where we are, and just give a broad overview of the impacts of this storm as it's made its way through the Mid-South. Jerry?
Hey, Patrick, yes, good job there. We are seeing those power outages thankfully go down in the MLGW coverage area. 125,000 customers at last check without power. You can see they're spread out all throughout the Memphis, Shelby County area. 29% of customers without power. You see 70% of customers with power. We're talking 125,649 customers in that MLGW coverage area currently without power right now. We also checked in with Atoka recently, who told us there were fallen trees on 2 homes, but thankfully no one was injured in those homes there in the Atoka, Tipton County area there. We're checking with Fayette County, Marshall County, Cross County, Crittenden County, and more of our central metro area here to see what types of damages or injuries they have seen. But so far, the good news, we are not seeing any reports of major injuries or damages across our area.
Good stuff there, Jerry. And so, Patrick said we're going to wind this down here at about 7:30, and it does make sense. We want to get you back to, normal programming here for Saturday evening. And we still do have one severe thunderstorm warning that is in place here. It does include Panola, Lafayette, and a few other counties here once we start getting a little bit further to the south. If there's any sort of good news within this warning, it's the fact that it is a baseline severe thunderstorm warning. What do I mean by that? It means it has 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch in diameter size hail that could be embedded within it. And quite frankly, if you're going to get put under a severe thunderstorm warning, you'd like it to be as weak as possible, because I think most people would agree you don't exactly want destruction to come out of that here. And the worst of it right now is just to the south of Batesville, and it is moving itself to the southeast here, and it's going at about 40 miles per hour. So I know getting close to Calhoun City, that really starts moving on out of here as far as the Action News 5 coverage area. But I want to show you at least over the next hour exactly where it's going to be. Water Valley at 7:38, Coffeyville at 7:48, Bruce, Mississippi, 8:07 is when you can expect some 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1 inch in diameter size hail, some heavy rain, as well as some lightning here. here with that given storm as it does move itself down to the southeast. The box that is flashing on your screen that does include Batesville, that's where the warning is. Yet again, that is a warning until 7:45 this evening here. So still have just over a half hour to go before that does come to a completion here. We still do have a severe thunderstorm watch in place for all northern Mississippi, throughout the Mississippi Delta and into McNairy County. That is set to come to a completion here at 10 o'clock this evening here. And I do think that the majority of the Mid-South should be cleared out of that by 10 o'clock, or it should expire at that given time here. Still do have a couple of showers and storms, keeping a closer eye on, that are into the far southwestern corner of Shelby County. A couple more that are near Hernando and Coldwater. Fortunately, these are not severe. If I put on the storm threats right now, none of this looks too bad either as far as, say, dealing with severe thunderstorm threats. So at least there is good news. If you're seeing the purple on your screen, that's usually an indication of some very heavy rain, maybe some small hail. Same idea over into McNairy and Alcorn counties and into the northeastern corner of Mississippi County as well. This marker that you see on your screen here, the cylinder, this is usually an indication of rotation. Quite frankly, with respect to where it is in the actual storm system itself, yeah, that has a better opportunity of becoming potentially tornadic. If you want me to look at this from a glass half full mentality, selfishly here in the Mid-South, this is over in Prentiss County, moving towards Tishomingo and Itawamba counties, so not moving into specifically our corridor. With that said, though, if you know anybody that's in Belmont, Red Bay, good idea to give them a first alert, let them know what they have going on there as far as some pretty nasty winds at the least here and the potential of some tornadic activity. These have been moving off to the east as well at about 40 miles per hour. So Red Bay about 750 into Hamilton. This is starting to scoot on into portions of Alabama by about 817 as well. So Patrick, the good news is, at least here locally, everything's starting to, I don't want to say calm down, but it's a heck of a lot quieter than what we were dealing with here a couple hours ago when a big area of very strong winds mowed down a lot of Marshall, Fayette, southeastern Shelby counties, northeastern portions of DeSoto County, and Benton County as well.
Yeah, Tipton County as well.
Yes.
Tippa as well, with these storms moving through. I'm going to go back over to that storm. We talk about kinks and bows sometimes when we're talking about severe storms. That is in a little kink in that storm. You see down here, closer to Tupelo, that's the bow. That's pushing out the strong winds. But on the backside of it, you're getting a little bit of a spin right there in the southern portions of Prentiss County. Again, that's just outside the Action News 5 coverage area, but I just want to give you that heads up of what we were looking at. Going back over to Batesville as well as Oxford, that storm still has some, I think more so hail right now.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
But it's almost out. The hail core itself is just about to head out of the,
Is that Grenada Lake down there? Or no, that's a little bit north of Grenada.
Where the storm is, that's Enid.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Grenada right here. Okay. This is Enid Lake. So this is where, if it's not falling to the ground, definitely some hail that's suspended there. That's probably coming down in the southern portions of Panola County. That will be moving into Yalobusha County here shortly, as well as Tallahatchie County. Well, I think maybe just to the east of Tallahatchie County. But needless to say, again, the biggest impact, I mean, you see that core right there where it is very bright pink. That is your hail core that is coming down. If it's not coming down, it's going to come down pretty soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have to issue a new severe thunderstorm warning once it gets out of southern portions of Panola County here shortly. So just want to heads up and give you a first alert that that's going to be more so an issue of hail right now in southern portions of Panola County. So again, we'll back up here and look over at the severe thunderstorm watch still in play for North Mississippi and east central Arkansas, and one county in West Tennessee being McNairy County. I think that a lot of this will fall off as we get closer to the top of this hour. The way it's looking right now, when you look at First Alert Doppler radar, really and truly, you only have two sections of storms to really work through. That one that's moving out east, closer to the Alabama state line, not nearly as strong as it was.
I think it's starting to pick back up, though.
It's not nearly as strong as it was a little bit ago.
Correct, but I think it is getting stronger now again.
It's getting a little stronger, and that's why we were talking about that little spin in the atmosphere. That, again, moving out towards Lee, Prentiss, Itawamba, and Tishomingo counties, but it is starting to pick up a little bit even closer to Corinth and Selmer as it's getting closer to the Tennessee River. The only active severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect is going to be for southern portions of Panola County. It does clip Lafayette County as well, but it looks like the core of that new severe thunderstorm warning for that bow that's moving through Tupelo right now, as we were just talking about, that's moving moving out towards Lee and Itawamba. And I think it doesn't clip Tishomingo County. It's right on the Tishomingo County border, but right down I-22 all the way to the state line of Alabama and Mississippi. The other severe thunderstorm is the one that we've been talking about, moving across Enid Lake right now, and should be out of Panola County within the next 5 to 10 minutes as far as the strongest portion of it. Time right now is 7:23. Like I said, we're going to stay here until 7:30. We'll send you back over to regular programming here in just a second. I want to show you this. This is our live Best Care Home Services high-five camera coming from downtown. A completely different story than it was like
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock this afternoon. I mean, my goodness, we couldn't see downtown from this perspective, and now it looks like, oh, everything's fine. It's not fine, because power's still out, and it's going to be out for a while. We were just talking about 127,000, I think, homes and businesses still without power. It's going to take a while, and that's not even the whole of everything. See, it went down a little bit, 125, and at its highest, it was over 130.
Correct.
So, we had a lot of people without power. We are going to have people without power for a long period of time. It may take tonight and part of tomorrow to get back on power for some people. Go ahead. All right, let's go over to Jerry with another update on some of the damage and information coming in from across the region. Jerry?
That's right. Stuart Rucker, one of our digital producers, just confirming that we are speaking with Olive Branch government. Olive Branch police have confirmed they are working several reports of downed trees and power lines across the city of Olive Branch, Mississippi. They're also saying that North Central Electric cooperative crews are responding and working to restore power to community as safely and quickly as possible, and they're reminding folks that all of those power lines that may be down are live. We're still tracking reports as well across the Mid-South to see about any damage and injuries, but again, at this last check, there are no major reports of damage or injuries at this time.
And obviously, we're keeping our fingers crossed that that will continue to be the case here. It can take a little bit for some reports to come in after storms obviously move through the Mid-South. And the actual line of showers and storms, it approached Shelby County at about 5 o'clock this evening, right around there, crossed over the Mississippi River, and it departed Shelby County by about 5:45, 6 o'clock this evening. So at least specifically in Shelby County, we're looking back at about an hour and a half to 2.5 hours ago when it started to really move in through the area here as far as that goes. But we're still dealing with this here across the Mid-South. Do want to just reiterate again, if you know anybody traveling from Birmingham back towards the Mid-South, they're about to encounter a pretty nasty storm just outside of Tupelo, pretty close to the Alabama-Mississippi state line, and then further to the south here into Panola County, really more into Tallahatchie County. Now, another nasty storm that's approaching Water Valley, Mississippi. But these are all starting to move on out of the Mid-South. Do want to give you just a little quick rundown here of the radar. I want to put this on over the past half hour because it's going to take too long, quite frankly, to go over the past hour. And notice a lot of these are moving to the southeastern out of the Mid-South. Yes, there are some more showers and storms that are a little bit further to the west here over towards Conway and Little Rock. I think a lot of the atmosphere in this part of the Mid-South is going to be worked over, so they shouldn't really have too much energy to work off of. We still can see showers and storms over the next few hours, but overall, Patrick, I do think that the severe weather threat, it is at the least significantly less, and it's down quite a bit compared to what we were dealing with, say, 6 hours ago.
Yeah, and we keep hearing sirens going off. People, hearing the fire sirens, the ambulances, police vehicles. So, as we were talking about, no news is good news sometimes. I don't think that it's necessarily full-on good news, obviously, with the situation that we've got going on here across this area. Coming up on 7:27, we're going to get you over to regular schedule programming here. What we're going to do, we're going to compile everything, and of course, we will have a comprehensive look of everything coming up tonight at 10 here on Action News 5. This has been an active afternoon and early evening hours here across the Mid-South, and we still have active weather here moving in across the area. It should be exiting again, moving out of Panola County here very shortly with more of a hail signature than anything else, moving across Enid Lake here within the next couple minutes.
Hey, I was going to say, because obviously we're going off here in the next 2.5 minutes, we never had the 7-day forecast up, and obviously we blew out the 5 and 6 o'clock newscast. You want to just show that real quick before we dump
I don't even know if I've got that in my show.
Well, I'll find it. Oh, yeah, I guess that's true, because it is the evening show.
My morning show does not equate to an evening show.
Touche.
So
tomorrow's going to be nice. That's what it really comes down to. A lot nicer than today.
Yes, and not as hot, right?
Yes.
We'll be in the lower 90s for tomorrow. Yeah, it's still going to be hot, but not nearly as hot as even the last couple of days. It did feel nice last night when the humidity activity did drop off for a couple of hours. It felt pretty nice during the overnight period. And of course, with this front moving through the area, it will help out as well. So what we're going to do here, we're going to send you back over to regularly scheduled programming. There's probably going to be a lot of hate mail in my email because it's America's Got Talent as well tonight. So what we'll do here is we'll send you back over to regular scheduled programming on Action News 5, the Mid-South Sports and Entertainment Network. We will have, again, an all-encompassing update today at 10 o'clock on our Action News 5 newscast here. And, of course, we'll be checking in with Jerry Askin as well as Gardner Montgomery as he's going to work his way back here into the city of Memphis and around Shelby County. Signing off from the Action News 5 First Alert Weather Center, myself, Patrick Ellis, and Eric Brill will send you back over to regular scheduled programming here on the Saturday evening.